Milk Dud and Talia and Marky, welcome into the live. For everybody tuning in, this is a super early stream. This is the earliest I have ever gone live. If y'all are like kind of curious why I'm live so early, it's because I had really bad allergies last night. I took some allergy medication that had me out by 10, so I woke up at like 6. I usually go to bed at like 2 a.m. But yeah, anyways, everybody tuning in, I appreciate y'all for being here, and I appreciate you for the marvelous. Y'all, we have, more debates for today. So for everybody tuning in here, make sure to double tap on that phone screen and make sure to share out that live. But guys, we are going to have than I might typically have. I have been researching the fake electorate plot from Donald Trump over the course of the last week, more and more and more and more. And we're going to try to bring that up a lot today. The more research I do into learning, what Trump did to try to overthrow our government in 2020, the worse it gets. And I really want to get some MAGA cultist take on it. Anyways, for the first 400 of y'all in here, make sure that we're double tapping away in that phone screen. Make sure that we're taking this live, sharing it out with a couple friends. And if you are voting for Trump, make sure to hop in that queue, ladies and gentlemen. It looks like we already have one guest request up in here, so I guess we'll go ahead and bring him in. But if you're MAGA, make sure to just let me know in that chat. But what's up, man? How old are you?
Hey, Dean. I'm 36. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Are you voting for Trump?
So in 2016 and 2020, I did. I actually had a conversation with Harry last night and have spent the entire morning doing my research. And I kind of just wanted to thank you guys for shedding light on this election. As a North Carolina voter, I'm voting Harris this year, 100%.
Oh, that's phenomenal to hear. I'll have to tell Harry about that. Thank you so much for coming up. Also, I usually like just cut people off and kick them if they agree with me first thing, but you know what? We just started the live, so it's whatever. I appreciate you so much for coming up.
I appreciate you, man. Keep doing what you're doing and keep turning these Trump voters and showing them the way to be.
Hell yeah. Guys, let's get some W guests in that comment section. That is so awesome to hear. See, that is why we run these lives. Let's get some massive W guests in that comment section. And for everybody else tuning in, welcome into the live, super early live today. Just start double tapping away on that phone screen. Let's try to get to 50,000 likes. What's up, B-Camp? How old are you? Caper, thank you for the subscription. All right, B-Camp left. If you're MAGA, let me know in that chat, guys. We're still looking for a first debate of the night. Here we go, loading up our next guest here, guys. Someone says it's super early for me to be live. Oh, hell yeah, I know. What's up, Kate? How old are you? All right, I don't know what's going on with the guest requests. I'm looking for debates. I don't know why these people are joining in if they're not here to debate, but oh well. What time is it where I'm at? It's like 9. What's up, Tyler? How old are you?
I'm 28 years old. How are you, buddy?
Doing all right. Are you voting for Trump?
Yes, I am voting for Donald Trump.
All right, why so?
Well, the reason I'm voting for Donald Trump, if you look at the economy that was in the 4 years Donald Trump was in term, everything was better.
Yeah, how did Trump cause it to be better? Or, like, on the inverse, how did Biden and Harris cause it to be worse?
How did Trump cause it to be better? He's a businessman. So what? Instead of being political, he
Reflective
ran
through what policy? Like, what's one policy that he influenced to get passed while he was president that just made the economy boom?
Well, one, he tried to shut the border down, which is an amazing thing.
He tried to shut the border down. I mean, we have less crossings today than we did at the end of Trump's term. After Biden's executive order, crossings fell 55%.
No,
yeah, when we look at the numbers, we see about 23 through 2,400 crossings per day now. And then we saw like 24 through 2,500 in January of 2021.
No, those numbers are incorrect. What's your source?
Yeah, what's my source? Like the Census Bureau of Border Crossings, I believe. Also, like we also have like Politico, etc. These numbers are not incorrect now. I mean, how many daily crossings do you think we have right now?
I believe.
Okay, well, I mean, he's going on pause to Google it to see that my information's right. I swear to God, I'm not feeding you liberal propaganda. I'm just trying to engage in an actual conversation.
Your numbers are correct, but your numbers are wrong. We have open borders now. That's what Biden and Kamala want. They want these open borders so everyone can come here and take the shit from us, take our country from us, and that's exactly what's going to happen.
Tyler, we don't have open borders. What policy did the Biden-Harris administration influence to get past to open the borders?
Are you kidding me? Look in New York where all these immigrants came over and they had to shut down a school to put these
Tyler,
people in
are you going to answer my question? What policy did the Biden-Harris administration influence to get past that open the border? Oh, Tyler left. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on to our next guest, ladies and gentlemen. For the 1.1 thousand people in here, I appreciate y'all for being here. If you're MAGA, just hop in the guest request. We're going to move on to our next guest here, y'all. We're off to a phenomenal start already. We already got a runner of the day. Jesus Christ. Okay, hey, what's up? How old are you? Hello, DJ Fletch.
Hi. Yeah. Hey, what's up, buddy? I'm in my 50s. I'm an
Phenomenal.
independent. I'm voting for Harris.
Hey, W, base guest. I appreciate you for coming up. I am just looking to debate people that are voting for Trump, but let's get some massive W's for that last guest. And for the 1.2 thousand people in here, make sure that we're double tapping and sharing out that live. We may have to do a restart here, but it could also just be super early in the morning. What's up, Hunter? How old are you?
I'm 29.
What year are you born in?
1995, June 18th.
Awesome. Are you voting for Trump?
I am.
All right, why is that?
I kind of agree with the things that he says he wants to do.
Like what?
I saw he wants to ban trans athletes from competing against women.
Well, actually, the picture that he posted was of a cis woman fighting another cis woman.
I'm not even talking about the boxing, if that's what you're talking about. I'm just talking about in general.
Yeah,
doesn't
but
want
I'm
to-
talking about the boxing. He posted a picture that said that was a trans woman. That was a cis woman.
I didn't even see that, but I mean,
Yeah, like
in
with like
general-
the whole revolt from the specific
Yeah, but-
like right now, like the conservatives over the boxing match in the Olympics. So that was a cis woman, a female that identified as a woman fighting a female that identified as a woman.
regardless,
Like
of
I just don't even know what that whole thing was. You know?
I haven't even looked into the Olympics, and I do know what you're talking about, but I didn't look into the boxing event. I didn't even know he commented on that. But I'm just talking about it in general.
And how's he gonna do that?
What do you mean?
How is he gonna ban trans women from competing in women's sports?
I'm guessing through physicals. I'm not sure.
Like I just don't think
Is that
that
what
this is
you're
even
referring
something
to?
that a
Like-
president can do. Like when we're referencing sports teams, we're like going to be referencing like private leagues, right? And I don't know if like a president can have or dictate or like legislate over like private sports leagues.
I don't know. I don't know what you do. I mean, I think it'd be fair though. Honestly, I think with anyone with common sense.
Wait, why would that be
agree
fair?
I mean, men are obviously better than women at sports. I mean,
Okay, well, when we're particularly referencing like sports in which trans women would compete in, right? I mean, all sports leagues have like particular requirements for the trans women that would be competing in the sports, such as like 2 to 3 years of being on HRT. And specifically speaking, when trans women take HRT for like 2 or 3 years, right? They have no like noticeable biological advantage over that of a cis woman, and that's like why we'd say that it would be fair for them to like play it in the sports.
I just think it's common sense. I mean, look at all the records you could break compare a man's records to a woman's records. I don't care how much drugs you say you take. They still have the physique, the bones, everything of a man.
Yeah, I'm telling you, they actually don't. So it's like when we're comparing like the anatomy of that of a male to that of a female, and we're looking for biological advantages that a male may typically possess over a female, we're going to be looking at density of like one's muscles, muscle density, bone density, et cetera, like like exuberance of the biological cardiovascular systems, and like what happens after like a male is on like HRT hormone replacement therapy for 2 to 3 years is they lose those biological advantages. But I also just like I don't think that this is a good argument, even if it was the case that the advantages were to be present. Like fucking Mike Phelps, I don't ever hear y'all bitching about his 90-foot wingspan and his fucking webbed toes. You know what I mean? Like that's not an issue, so I don't see why this would be
I don't
either.
understand what
But the
it
point
is.
here is after like 2 to 3 years of HRT, yes, no, a trans
you
woman
trying
would
to say
not have a
about Mike
biological
Phelps? I
advantage
don't
over a cis
understand.
woman.
What does shoulders and webbed feet have to do with anything? I don't understand.
Yeah, because he has an obvious biological advantage over the individuals in which he'd be competing against, but I don't hear you saying that he should be banned from his sport. But obviously, as I've just been telling you, right, after 2 to 3 years of HRT of a trans woman, she has no biological advantage over that of a cis woman.
No, that's insane to even think that.
Okay, I mean, you obviously don't have any evidence to like, back up your ignorance. So yeah, could you go ahead and give me a study that would demonstrate that after such 3 years of
worst
HRT that we don't see a
professional-
biological advantage?
The worst male tennis professional would easily beat the #1 woman tennis player.
Bro, what you're
Are you talking
referencing right
about
now is a
the little
misogynistic
boys,
lie
the
referencing a man's
little
league in
boys-
comparison to a woman's league. I'm particularly referencing males who undergo hormone replacement therapy.
I mean, can you let me talk just a little bit? Jesus Christ, you just cut me off.
Because you're making a false you're
piece.
making a false comparison. You're comparing men
He'll
to
wait till I
women.
finish
I'm
speaking
talking about
before
trans
you
women,
say
males who
on this.
undergo hormone replacement therapy.
Okay, then let's talk about his rape case. Why would a lady come out almost 30 years later, right when he's running for president? Why would that be the case for that?
Abel, I appreciate you for the
I mean,
fireworks.
everything
Thank
you
so much for
say
the
when
love.
someone joins the call, you just keep saying he's a rapist. I'm sorry.
First of all, he came out 23 years, and it wasn't right as he was
That's a-
running for
that's a
president.
very-
And
that's
see,
longer-
in
how long have you been
2015,
alive?
he came out in 2019.
How long have you been alive?
And then specifically, 62% of women who do get raped never report it to the authorities in the entirety of their life. So why should we blame Eugene Carroll for waiting 20
I
years?
mean, how would you even know that?
How the hell would we even know that? Because they report it to like therapists, friends, schools, universities,
I mean,
like
you're
therapists.
just generalizing that. You don't actually know that.
Yeah, I mean that is a statistic. That is true. Just look
You
up
don't
like what
know that's
percentage of
true.
women
Maybe
report
say
rape to the authorities.
statistic, but you don't know it's true. You
Okay,
could-
so you're even disputing statistics such as what percentage of women never report rape to the authorities.
I mean, you just actually don't know. You're not even a woman. And you're also 19.
Wait, what? Wait, you're saying because I'm not a woman, I can't look at the generalization of like how many women would report
Wait, real quick,
themselves
but you're
getting essayed
19.
or
You're
raped?
saying
Like
it took
individuals such as
22
like,
years,
hey,
longer than you've been alive for her to report it. That's insane.
Hunter, I have a question. So how come you're saying because I'm not a woman, I can't look at statistics and know that 62% of women who do get raped
No,
will
I'm
report
saying
it to a
you've never
therapist,
been-
their
I'm
friends, or
saying you're not a
universities, but
woman.
won't report it to the
I think you're
police?
not a woman. You've never been raped. So I feel like your opinion's a little irrelevant, even if you're regarding this the statistics.
Okay, first of all, you don't know that I've never been raped, and second of all, are you
I said you're not a
pro-life?
woman. Well, have you?
Are you pro-life?
Yes.
Wait, so I'm not a woman, so I can't speak about women getting raped, but you're not a woman, but you can speak about a woman.
I know I'm
being
not
able to access
speaking about
healthcare?
it. You just asked me a question and I answered it.
Yeah, you advocate for pro-life legislation to infringe upon the access to healthcare of women, but specifically speaking, you're not a woman yourself. So what ground do you have to speak on that?
I'm not speaking on it. I'm just telling you my opinion on it.
Yeah, but being pro-life would instantiate the position or
So should
the
I just
opinion
say I'm not
that,
going to speak on that? I'm not a
it
woman.
should, it should not be legal to access like
You want me
abortion.
to say
as
I'm not a
woman.
woman, so I won't speak on it? Is that what you want me to say?
Well, I mean, I'm just super curious because you're telling me because I'm not a woman, I can't like
You asked me a
reflect what the
question and I
statistics would
answered
show.
it.
Hunter,
Oh,
don't.
my-
Hey, buddy. You actually have to
Okay.
listen when like the smart guy speaks. Okay.
Okay.
So Hunter, you
I hope
specifically
so
said,
that you sound smart on this because it's your
"Hey,
job.
hey, Hunter. Hey, buddy. Listen to the smart guy speak. My turn." So
Mm-hmm,
you specifically said, "I'm not a woman, so I can't talk about the fact that 62% of women."
didn't say I can't talk
Hey,
about it.
Hunter. Hey, Hunter. Are you insufferable? I mean, I'm like trying to educate you. Are you ready to listen?
I'm listening. I'm your.
Okay. All right. Here we go for the 5th time because Hunter like has some super bad behavioral problems. Jesus Christ, guys. So you said because I'm not a woman, I can't speak about women getting raped, but apparently even though you're not a woman, you can speak about women accessing healthcare, all right? Given the fact that you're pro-life, meaning that you think access to abortion should be illegal?
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Hunter. I just said what I had to say. Did you hear me?
No, I mean, but you were lying. That's why I cut in. Just said 2 words.
I didn't hear your 2 words because I put you on mute because you were interrupting. What did I just say, Hunter? Can you repeat what I just said to you?
You said I'm speaking about the legislation on pro-life and everything, but even though I didn't, I just said I was pro-life. That's all I said.
Yeah, meaning that you think that access to abortion should be restricted. Abel, thank you for the VR goggles.
I don't think it should be restricted. I think there's certain special cases for a lot of things.
If you don't think that access to abortion should be restricted, then you're pro-choice.
And sure, I'm pro-choice.
Okay, so if you're pro-choice, well, then would you disagree with Trump?
I just think
electing
it's such a
justices
very
to
weird,
the Supreme Court to
I just think
overturn
it's a
Roe v.
tricky
Wade?
subject.
And specifically today in 2014, we see that 1 out of every 3 women of reproductive age in America don't have access to abortion.
Say that again. Sorry, I was
Oh my God. I'm going to go to move on to someone smarter here, y'all. Someone that will actually listen to a single word that comes out of my mouth. Let's go ahead and see what Austin has to say, y'all. For the 2,000 people in here, make sure that we're double tapping away in that phone screen. Also, make sure to share out this live to a couple friends here. What's going on, Austin? How old are you?
I don't know how I got in here. I apologize.
No worries. We're going to move on to our next guest here, y'all. Let's go ahead and see what our next guest has to say, guys. Make sure if we are in the queue that we are voting for Trump. Hunter was yapping? Bro, for real. Dude, Jesus Christ. Oh, my God. Casey, what's up? How old are you? All right, Casey automatically dropped. Guys, if you're MAGA and you want to come up and debate, just let me know in that chat. We're going to go and get our next guest up in here literally right now, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go and see what our next guest has to say, y'all. Everyone just do be patient while we do get our next guest loaded up in here. Bro was lost in the Appalachians, deadass. What's up, Toxic? How old are you?
What's up? Go
How old are
fuck
you?
yourself, faggot.
Okay, I mean, it's slur aside. Let's go ahead and look at your profile here. Toxic Taylor, T. Morgan. I'm going to go ahead, let all of y'all take that out. Go ahead, head over to his page, report him. We're going to move on to our next guest. That is MAGA, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead and see what our next guest has to say. Typical Trumper, dead ass, zero brain cells. What's up, Mandy? How old are you?
Mandy, sorry, I'm Mandy. I'm 48.
Awesome. Yeah. Are you voting for Trump?
Oh, hell no.
All right, I appreciate you for coming up. I'm just looking to debate people who are voting for Trump. We're going to go ahead and get our next guest up in here, y'all. Make sure we are in the queue that we're voting for Trump. All right, y'all. We got our next guest loading up in, y'all. What's up, Megan? How old are you?
50.
Are you voting for Trump?
I want to say you're doing excellent work here, Dean, and hell no, I am not.
I appreciate you. Base guests, let's get some W's for the guests in the comment section. Some W's for the guests in the comment section. I'm just putting it out there. Once again, I am just looking to debate people that are voting for Trump. So if you're in the queue, make sure you're voting for Trump. But W, Mandy. What's up? How old are you? Abel, thank you for the VR goggles. It's good to see you as well, Abel. Tamika, are you voting for Trump?
No way.
Okay, guys, I'm so sorry. I love y'all, but like, what are we doing? What are we doing, ladies and gentlemen? Y'all are awesome, but please, come on. Hey, what's up? How old are you?
41.
Are you voting for Trump?
Yep.
Awesome. Why's that?
I mean, for several reasons. I just wanted to ask you, because I've been watching your live, several of your lives. Are you one of the people being paid for by Kamala and them to get up here and promote the nonsense that you're promoting? How much are you getting paid to do this? Because there's no way you believe the bullshit that you're spouting off. No way.
So first of all, I don't think that like anyone is getting paid to do this. Second of all, I definitely don't get
actually
paid.
they
Third of all,
are,
I wish
because
I
I'm
did.
yes, they are. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. So stop with the lies, bro. Yes, they are.
Who's getting paid?
Several of you influencers are being
Can you
paid.
give me names?
Several of you on Libs of TikTok. What are you talking
can you
about,
give
bro?
me names of, like, the
Don't play
influencers who are being
dumb.
paid?
What are you voting for Kamala for?
Brock, you're playing dumb as we speak. You're saying that
Hey,
influencers
answer
are
the
getting paid, but you
question.
can't give me a
Answer the
name.
question. Answer the question.
Is this your
Why
way
are
to
you
like
voting
navigate
for
around the
Kamala
fact
Harris?
that I'm specifically like calling you out for your bullshit? You came up here and asked me if I was getting paid. Obviously not. I really wish I was. Like Venmo and PayPal in the bio, DNC.
Oh, do you?
said that several influencers were
So
getting
check
paid, and you couldn't give
check
me a
this out.
name.
Check this out. When I get home, because I'm not at home though. When I get home and I get on my computer because I'm on my phone. When I get home, I'm gonna shoot you a follow. You don't have to follow me back. But I'm going to shoot you a follow, and I'm going to send you the link to where you can get paid. And next time you show your live, I want
There's
you
a
to,
link?
Yeah, there's a link.
I could
buddy.
click on a link to get paid by the DNC.
No.
Is it going to be like Grabify, like / like?
Hey, let me ask you something. Let me ask, do you think you're tough or something?
Yeah, I think I'm tougher than you, little boy.
You think you're tougher than me? Well, check this out. Go on my page and watch one of my videos, and then DM me, and let's see what you're talking about, big dog.
How many continents are there?
What's up, Boa?
Yeah, I'm tougher than you. Anyways, you asked me why I'm voting
No,
for
I said,
Kamala.
what did you just say? I didn't hear what you said.
I asked you how
You
many
said
continents
what? You
there
said
were.
what are how many continents there were? How many continents there were? Is that what you asked me?
There's 7.
I know how many there continents there were. Are you actually asking me that
I'll
question?
I'll bail you out. Anyways, you asked me why I was voting for Kamala. Yeah, because I want to vote for Kamala because Trump tried to... yo, Julie, thank you for the $5 on Venmo from the DNC. I appreciate you for the love. Let's get some W Julies and some W DNCs in the comment section. I'm voting for Kamala because I want an individual that will serve as president to protect our democracy, not to try to overthrow it. Like when Trump...
You know we're not a democracy, we're a republic, right? You know we're a republic, right? You know we're a republic, right? So bail your ass out of that one. So get off the democracy
constitutional
shit.
republic is a form of a democracy.
No, actually it's not.
What's the contradiction between a representative democracy and a constitutional republic?
What's the what?
What's the contradiction between a representative democracy and a constitutional republic?
We are not a democracy, my man, at all.
Chris, thank you so much for the $10 on Venmo. Chris says much love for Dean. I really appreciate you. Let's get some massive W Chris's in the comment section. Thank you so much for the $10. So what's the contradiction between a representative democracy and a constitutional republic?
There's no contradiction because we're not a democracy. We're not a representative democracy. We're not any of that thing.
Do you know what a
None of that.
Do you know what a representative democracy is?
Yeah, I do, but the thing is that your
What is
argument is null and void because it's not even an argument, because it's not even a case on the situation of how this country was founded, my man. When
what's a representative
when
democracy?
they founded this country and made it a republic, when they walked out, they asked Benjamin Franklin, "What do we have?" He said, "A republic if you can keep it." We are not a democracy at all. So that's not even a debate for people who understand the founding of this country. You can sell that shit to everybody else, but you can't sell it to me, buddy. So come with something different.
So what's a representative democracy?
We are not a representative democracy, bro, at all.
asking
So
you
that's
what it
not
is.
even. That's not even a fucking. I'm not going to answer the question because it's not does not matter to the fucking subject matter.
I'm pretty sure you won't answer the question, not because you don't think it's relevant, but because you don't know.
Bro. Yeah.
Noel
actually,
Christian, thank you for the $10 on Venmo. I really
The thing
appreciate you
is-
for the love, Noel
is-
Christian. Let's get some massive W Noel Christians in that chat. Thank you so much for the $10 on Venmo. I appreciate you, man.
Is stick to why you're voting for Kamala Harris.
I mean, I was in the middle of telling you, but then you were like, this isn't a democracy, it's a republic. And I'm telling you, a constitutional republic is a representative democracy.
So have you ever read the Constitution before?
I've not sat down and read through the entirety of the
Oh,
Constitution.
okay. So
I
sit
don't have
down
that
and
much
read
time on
through
my
it
hands.
and then show me one time in the Constitution where it even uses the word democracy, because it's not there. So that's why I'm refusing to answer your question, because if you study the Constitution, which is a living and breathing document, supposed to be at least, there's nothing for democracy there. That's why I'm not answering your question, because it's null and void to the subject matter.
So maybe you could help me understand why I'm wrong. So I'm saying that we're a representative democracy, which is a constitutional republic, or at least a form of one. And you are saying that, no, there's a big difference between these two things. So what's the difference between a constitutional republic and a representative democracy? Emma, thank you so much for the $5 on Venmo. I really appreciate you for the love.
Do you know what the definition of a republic is?
Maybe you could tell me what you think the definition of a republic is.
It's not what I think it is. It's what the definition is. It's not. There's not a what I think it is. There's only one definition. It's like how you guys like to use the term racist all the time, and you don't know the definition of it, and then you try to say, well, in this context, racist means this. No, there's the definition, and that is it. That is it. There's no what it is. It's what it is, my man. So do you know the definition of a republic?
Yeah, it's just like
You do not. You do not.
Hey, buddy, Brock, I'm telling you, it's like a representative-based voting pool. It's like a state in which the power is held by the people and their representatives.
Thank you. Thank
Right?
you.
So
I
what's the difference
appreciate
between
that.
this and a representative democracy?
Break down the word democracy for me.
A democracy is once again just a type of like representation on the basis of like of a vote. There's different forms of a democracy, like a direct democracy is where every constituent of a state votes in their interests and the majority rules. But then a representative democracy is where the individual constituents elect representatives to represent the constituents within like their state or their area, their district, etc.
Okay.
What I'm telling you here is a representative democracy is a constitutional republic. Abel, thank you so much for the
Okay, so
And,
this
like,
is.
I actually asked you for the difference, but then you didn't know, and then you asked
No,
me to define them both. Hey Brock, buddy.
What's
one
up,
second.
buddy?
So I asked you why we are not a representative democracy, and then you couldn't tell me. You actually asked me to define what a republic is, and you asked me to define what a representative democracy was. So I defined them both, and I'm telling you how these two things are compatible. Where am I wrong here?
Okay, so now I'm going to tell you why you're wrong, and this is why I asked you to give me the definition instead of me giving you the definition, buddy. So when I asked you to break down the definition of a democracy, obviously you've been in a dictionary before, so that's good. So when you look into a dictionary, you notice how the words are broken down in pieces. Well, if you break those words down in pieces and then you look up that word, that's why I asked you, have you broke down the definition of democracy? It's a trick question. Obviously, you have not, because if you have broke down the definition of broke down the word democracy, then you would know that we are obviously a democracy now, but when this country was founded, we were not a democracy.
So when I said that Trump tried to undermine our democracy in 2020, and you said we're not a democracy, you were lying?
What do you mean I was lying?
When I told you a big reason why I'm not voting for Trump is because he tried to stage a coup against our government and undermine our democracy in 2020.
Oh, well, how did he
responded
try to?
by saying that we're not democracy.
How did he try to stage a coup against the government? Because the
For
government,
sure, I got you, Elena. Thank you so much for the $5 on Venmo. I really appreciate you for the love. Let's get some W Elenas in that chat. Thank you. Go ahead, Brock.
How did he try to undermine our democracy?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So a couple points here. So first of all, he sent 14 different fake electorates to 7 different states to cast false votes into the electoral college by making legitimate fake electorate certificates. Right. He also particularly pressured our justice system into announcing that there had been voter fraud found in the 2020 election, even though they had no evidence for this.
They've actually had several evidence. So obviously you're not up on current affairs. They've actually had several court rulings of voter fraud, and there is mass voter fraud now. So you are not.
Okay, can you name one of those court rulings?
Go to Georgia. Go look at what just happened in Georgia.
Yeah, so it's actually funny that you're referencing Georgia because
and
Trump
Arizona.
So Trump actually called the DA of Georgia.
I know he did.
Georgia, and specifically on the phone call with the AG of Georgia. He told the AG of Georgia to find 14,000. Hey, Brock.
Yeah.
Hey, this interruption thing has to stop.
Okay, but I got you. I'm just telling you, I know so that you can stop.
This interruption thing has to stop.
Okay, but I'm agreeing with you, so that's why I'm interrupting.
Julie, I really appreciate you for the $5 on PayPal. I really appreciate you. Let's get some massive W Julies in that chat. Thank you so much. Right?
I'm agreeing, Dean. I'm agreeing with you on that part. So that's why I'm interrupting you. I know that happened, but are you going to agree with me on the massive ballot harvesting, all the video footage of people destroying votes, the votes coming out of anywhere? Are you going to agree with me on that? Because I'm agreeing with you on what Trump did, but you're not agreeing with me on the evidence that proves my point.
Yeah, so there was no massive ballot harvesting.
Yes, there was. Have you ever watched the documentary 2,000 Mules?
Yes, the documentary that was played in theaters, then pulled from theaters because there's literally no sufficient evidence to back it. You could look up a fact check from Politico. You could look up a fact check from any mainstream media source, and specifically the evidence, the quote unquote evidence that they used within 2,000 Mules was cell phone data that they had bought. They ignored all the cell phone data that didn't align with their narrative, and then they specifically made an assumption on the base of where the particular point of the cell phones were. We had no clue if they're actually going to the voter machines and harvesting the votes. We have no evidence of that, and there's ultimately pulling from all the theaters. So this is what is called big lie propaganda.
Well, that's essentially. Go ahead.
The interruptions.
My bad. I thought you were stopping. My bad. Go ahead.
The interruptions are going to stop.
I just apologize.
The interruptions are going to stop, or I'm going to move on to my next guest.
Okay, I just apologize. So I thought you were stopping, so that's why I talked. So go ahead.
Okay, yeah, so there's no evidence to substantiate the claims made in 2,000 Mules. This has been upheld by election officials right across the country, including 63 different courts that Trump tried to bring his case that the election was stolen from him to. All 63 of those courts ruled that there's no sufficient evidence to justify his claims. In fact, 17 courts had judges that he appointed still ruled that. 2,000 Mules had no evidence for the claims that they made. In fact, that's why it was pulled from the theaters. And then also, the only individual who tried to undermine and steal the election in 2020 was Trump. He literally told his aides in the White House that we are not going to leave. I have not lost this election. Okay. And then he specifically sent fake electorates to 7 different states to cast false votes into the Electoral College through what they call the Pence card, essentially hoping that Mike Pence would hold Trump over the U.S. Constitution, over our democracy, and not legitimize the results of the 2020 election, basically instilling that Trump would still have that position. Right. That was voter fraud. Absolutely. It was illegal. Trump, as well as his lawyers, are currently seeking immunity for this in court, and it was an attempt to undermine our democracy. It is one of the worst things that has happened in modern U.S. history, and I have absolutely no clue how this man is even running for president again. It is gross.
The reason why that he's running for president is because even though what you said, there is mass fact to what you said, you have to realize the unseen hand that's behind all the situation, behind that situation, and why the stuff that you're saying, there's no evidence, there's no this, there's no that. There's actually massive evidence. But when you have the quote unquote, what you call, let's say the deep state, right? We'll just say that layman's term for, everybody else. When you have, and this is on both sides of the fence, violations, civic and election integrity. What did I get a violation for?
for saying that the election was stolen, Brock. We're going to move on to our next guest so we don't get taken down for that. Let's go to get our next guest up in here, y'all. Yeah, dude, please. Yeah, hopefully we could talk more about what I was just talking about, Brock, with some other guests. What's up, CTM? How old are you? All right, here's not here. Guys, if you're MAGA and you want to come up in debate, let me just know in that chat. We're going to go ahead and get our next guest up in here right now, y'all. If you're a MAGA and you want to come up in debate, y'all, make sure to let me know in that chat. Also, do double tap on that phone screen. Let's try to get up to 200,000 likes. What's up, Steve? How old are you?
I just want to do
All right, Steve is driving. We're going to go ahead and move on to our next guest. Let's go ahead and see what our next guest has to say. Everyone just do give us a minute here. Also, the 100 reasons to vote against Trump. I actually saw you on my For You page yesterday. I see you in the queue today. But yo, Evan, thank you for the $20 on Venmo. I really appreciate you for the love. Let's get some massive W Evans in that chat. Thank you so much for the $20 on Venmo, Evan. What's up, Lucas? How old are you?
Got me.
Hey, what's up, man? Are you driving?
23. I am not.
All right. Is there any way that you could disconnect your Bluetooth? I could barely hear you.
Oh, is that better? Is that better? Got me?
It's all right. Yeah, are you voting for Trump?
Yes, I am.
All right, why's that?
Well, I believe he's one of the first presidents in a very long time to stand on a lot of promises he made during his campaign, leading up to his most recent presidential years.
That's a lie. He said he was going to build a wall between the U.S. and Mexico and foot the bill on them. He only built 18% and stuck the bill to the American taxpayer. He said he was going to pass a bipartisan infrastructure bill. Didn't get it done in 4 years. Biden got it done in his first. He told over 30,000 lies during his presidency, and he told one of the biggest lies of any sitting president ever in U.S. history by spreading the big lie propaganda at the end of his term that he was the rightful winner of the 2020 election.
Well, I don't think that even Trump said himself in multiple interviews, he did not claim that it was stolen. The only problem that came out of that in the end was they changed, last minute we changed how the voting had been done for hundreds of years. Since we had originally started voting using ballot boxes, and they changed the technology, and there was some miscounts, and, asking for a recount and then having his own lawyers oversee it. I mean, both sides could have had lawyers, and I'm going to go ahead and correct
I'm going to go ahead and correct your misinformation here. So you said that Trump never said it was stolen. That is a lie. Here's a direct quote from something that he told to one of his aides, quote unquote, "How can you leave when you've won an election?" He was even overheard asking the chair of the RNC, quote unquote, "Why should I leave if they stole it from me?" And then also, debunked. Then what you're referencing about them changing state policy, that is actually not hearsay. No, that is coming from the chair of the Republican National Committee, Ronna McDaniel. So that's not hearsay at all. Okay. And then you also said that they had changed the alleged voter practices at the last minute. So that's actually false. That's what Trump lawyers tried to propose Pennsylvania had done. It was Texas v. Pennsylvania. And that actually got ruled as being incorrect by the Supreme Court. And they refused to hear them.
Okay. And another thing is, why would we choose him over Kamala? I mean, just the economy under Trump was just amazing. No wars, and America's been a wartime economy if you look back through history, we have a wartime economy.
We actually had the Turkish-Kurdish war under Trump's presidency by us specifically pulling out of Kurdistan, right? We also had a proxy war with Russia and Syria and a Yemen genocide and a 450% increase in drone strikes in the Middle East.
Zero wars.
Yeah, so you're wrong. We had a Turkish-Kurdish war, we had a proxy war with Russia and Syria, and a Yemen genocide.
Not wrong. And then also, he signed a bill donating $250 million.
Hey, motherfucker. Hey, buddy. You said we had zero wars. I'm telling you that's wrong. We had a Turkish-Kurdish war, proxy war with Russia and Yemen, and Syria, and a Yemen genocide.
And we weren't sending money over to them. We were not involved. There's going to be world conflicts all the time. All throughout history, there's world conflicts. We're not going to be involved in every single one of them.
After Biden's administration, we have the first presidency right now in the last 25 years where we've not have active boots on the ground fighting wars. And I think that's incredibly tone deaf for you to say that we were not involved when we had 65
Oh no, but he just got hundreds of people killed when he pulled out of Afghanistan, or when he pulled up from overseas the way he did. Just got a lot of people killed over there. They moved in. They took.
So you're wrong. Would you like to bet?
Yeah, I'd like to bet a lot of money. I ain't saying
Oh,
just
really?
Americans. I'm talking about all the people helping the Americans over there. When the terrorists moved in, you don't think they didn't kill all them people that were helping us during that? You don't think that happened? I bet you they're still killing
Hundreds
them
of-
over there.
Okay. So yeah, we had 13
Probably
active,
thousands.
service people die. Yeah. Do you know who organized the pullout?
I know who didn't organize it, and Biden, and that's who did it.
No, Trump did.
No, he didn't. He
Yes,
wanted
Trump
us to pull
organized the
out, and he said, he told the guy, showed him pictures of his house and everything, showed him pictures of the pool, said, we want to get out of there. We want to get out of
It's
your
actually
head.
unrelated.
But okay, it's unrelated. It was part of the topic. And then another thing you was talking about with the other guy, I don't remember his name, Brock, when you said, if we was a democracy, in a democracy, the population, the overall population determines an election. That's a democracy.
That's called a direct democracy, which is a type of democracy, yes, right? But what we are is a representative democracy, right? And
We're not even a representative democracy, and here's why I'm going to say that. It's because if we had a certain number of Republicans or Democrats, or say, that's the main two, right? It's been the main two for years. That's probably how it'll be. We was not designed to run off a two-party system, but that's what we have. That's what we got to deal with.
The two-party system has nothing to do with the fact that we're a representative democracy, meaning that the constituents of
Well,
states, right,
where I'm going with that is if we had
within our buddy. I'm trying. You understand? You've cut me off every single time I've spoken with you. Are you able to engage in a two-way conversation?
Yep, I'm listening. Go ahead.
Yeah, you're saying that we're not a democracy, and yes, we are. So we are a representative democracy, right? And a representative democracy is compatible with a constitutional republic, right? In fact, a constitutional republic is a form of a representative democracy, right? And this is also just a really weird way to navigate around the claim that Trump tried to undermine our democracy in 2020. You just don't deny that Trump sent fake electors to states. You don't deny that Trump specifically wanted his Mike Pence
No,
not
I
certify
do
the results of the
deny it.
election. You don't deny any of that, right? But you just therefore say that we're not a democracy. It's just okay, yeah. So you just want a totalitarian rule at the hand of a dictator now, bro?
Well, that was backtracking, but you say I'm voting for Kamala. Why are you voting for Trump? Why are you voting for Kamala specifically? What has she done specifically that makes her a better candidate?
Okay, well, I'm gonna look for someone that
And I'm
actually
sure you
engages with what I'm saying.
I'm sure you.
Let's go to move on to our next guest here, chat. I do actually want someone that's willing to engage with the substance of what I'm saying. Yeah, they dude, they were just not responding to anything that I've said. Absolutely ridiculous. What's up, Eden? How old are you?
I'm 20, but I'm for Kamala.
Also, I appreciate you coming up. We're gonna move on to our next guest, y'all. Guys, if you are voting for Trump, make sure to hop in that queue. But base guests, we're gonna move on to our next guest here, y'all. Make sure to hop in that queue if you are voting for Trump. For the 3.9 thousand people in here, y'all, I appreciate you guys for being here. Seriously though, make sure to hop in that queue if you're voting for Trump. Let's go and see what our next guest, Lukester, has to say. Make sure that we're double tapping away on that phone screen. Also, guys, if we're gonna be in the queue, make sure that we're actively ready to engage in a two-way conversation. What's up, Spurlock? We've definitely already talked before. I appreciate you for coming up, though. Let's go ahead and see what our next guest has to say, though. Everyone, just do be patient. I'm going to go ahead and send out a quick poll in chat here as well, y'all. If you are voting for Trump, let me see a sad face. If you're voting for Biden, or sorry, for Kamala, let me see a happy face. What's up, Jordan? How old are you?
I'm 25.
Awesome. Are you voting for Trump?
I sure am.
And why is that?
Well, for one, I'd like to see the fruition of the Keystone Pipeline come back.
Yeah, so that won't. I mean, that was court ordered by the Supreme Court, specifically because it was on native land. And why do you want to see it come back? We're already producing more oil than any country that has ever existed in history of the earth.
That's the thing. We're producing. We're not using our own oil.
And the Keystone Pipeline would do what? It would produce.
It would bring Alaskan oil to us, so we don't have to ship it with boats.
It'd actually bring it to Canada as a Canadian-owned pipeline. The U.S. would get 10% of the proceeds. And then specifically, that was ordered to be shut down by the Supreme Court. And more specifically, we're already producing more oil than any country that has ever existed. So I don't understand why we should be taking oil from nature reserves in Alaska, piping them through native lands just to have more. That's absurd. When we're already producing more than any country that has ever existed in the history of the earth. Come on, bro. Merrill, thank you so much for the $10 on Venmo. I really appreciate you for that love. Let's get some massive W Merrills in that chat. That is very kind of you. Thank you so much. Jordan, I'm waiting on your response, Books.
Sorry, boss man. What'd you say?
Yo, Christian, thank you so much for the $40 on PayPal. Let's go. Let's get some W Christians in the chat. That's so kind of you, bro. Massive W Christians. Holy crap. Thank you so much for the $40 on PayPal. I'm going to get at least 100 W Christians right now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Go ahead, Jordan.
I was asking you to repeat the statement because I didn't hear you.
Yeah, so you're saying that you want to see this Keystone XL pipeline come back. So first of all, you won't see that come back because it was specifically ordered to be shut down by the Supreme Court. And then as well, I don't understand why you'd want it to come back because it was piping oil from nature reserves in Alaska through native land to Canada, in which the U.S. would only have gotten 10% of its total proceeds, right? On top of the fact that the U.S. is currently producing more oil than any country that has ever existed in the history of the earth, right? Why would you want to destroy nature reserves and indigenous lands for that reason?
I don't think a pipeline destroys them. I've always seen pipelines be part of nature because they're underground.
Well, how do you put them underground?
You dig the dirt up, put the pipe
Exactly.
in. So,
Candy, thank you so much for the $50 on Venmo from the payday from the DNC. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you for that, Candy. Massive W Candies with a K for the $50 on Venmo. Let's get at least 100 W Candies in that chat. That is absolutely so meaningful. Thank you so much for the love, Candy. And Sandy, thank you for the subscription as well. I really appreciate that, Candy. Yeah, so like you have spills on the indigenous lands. You have to dig them up and put them down in there without their consent, as the Supreme Court ruled that was illegal to do, right? We have so many issues there. Plus, the U.S. was only supposed to get 10% of the proceeds. That would have only have equated to 0.02% of the global oil supply when we're already the world's leading producer. There's absolutely no reason to do that when we could just produce the oil through other means, right? Such as just approving more drilling permits on federal lands, which is exactly what Biden has done, by the way, approving twice as much drilling permits as Trump's administration did. Yo, Meryl with the $100 on Venmo for people whining about the donations in the chat. Holy shit, Meryl. That's crazy. Thank you for the love. I want to see at least 200 W Meryls in that chat for the $100 on Venmo to piss off the people whining in the chat. 200 W Meryls right fucking now. Holy crap. Thank you, Meryl. Dude, go crazy. That is insane. Thank you so much. Thank you, Meryl.
damn, boy, you're making more than I do in a week.
It's pretty, Meryl is awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, but anyways, do you have a response to that, Jordan?
Not really, because after that, you kind of made my train of thought go bye. So.
Okay, well, do you have any other reasons why you're voting for Trump?
I mean, yeah, he has my beliefs, but that's for me, and I don't expect anybody to have my same beliefs, so I'm not going to force somebody to.
Would you vote for someone that? Would you vote for someone that more likely than not raped a woman?
Huh?
Would you vote for someone who more likely than not raped a woman?
I mean, if it was ever proven, yes, I would not.
Oh, if it was proven that they more likely than not raped a woman, awesome. Well, yeah. Why are you voting for Trump? Because it was proven that he more likely than not raped a woman.
I haven't seen any proof of it. I haven't heard anything yet.
Yes, a jury ruled on that. A unanimous jury of 7 men and 2 women after 2 years of deliberation in a courtroom, right, in Trump v. Carroll in the city of New York in 2022.
So what happened 4 or 5 years ago?
Well, the rape happened in 1996, but the court ruling came out in 2022, which wasn't 4 or 5 years ago. That was 2 years ago.
Yes, 2022 was 2 years ago. But the incident happened in 1960.
1996.
My bad, 96. He should have been tried, and then if he wasn't, then that's the jury's fault. That's the judicial system's fault.
Well, it's actually no one's fault but him for raping the woman, right? And she specifically waited for her parents to die until she pursued litigation because she was too embarrassed to tell them.
Okay.
Yeah, well, is there anything else that you wanted to go over, man? We're going to move on to our next guest, gal. Make sure we are in the queue that we are voting for Trump. And for the 3.8 thousand people in the live, make sure that we're double tapping away on that phone screen. Candy with another $10. Thank you so much for the love on Venmo, Candy. And Crystal with the $50 on Venmo. Holy shit. Crystal says, educating MAGA. Hell yes. Thank you for the $50 on Venmo, Crystal. That is crazy. Thank you so much for the love. I want to see some W Candies and some W Crystals in that chat. And that is Crystal with a K, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for the love, Crystal and Candy. Thank you guys so much. Oh, what's up, Midwest? How old are you?
36. What's up, dude?
Yeah, I have a terrible mic. I'm so sorry, man. Oh, we just got to move on to our next guest. Let's go and see what our next guest here has to say, y'all. Everyone, just do give us a minute. Oh, but holy shit, keep the W crystals coming. Keep the W crystals coming. Thank you so much for the love. What's up, Spurlock? How old are you?
44.
Nice. Are you voting for Trump?
Absolutely.
All right. Why is that?
Well, first let me say this. I do agree with Kamala on one instance. How old are you?
I'm 19.
Yeah, you know when she spoke about 18 through 24 got to be the dumbest people in the world.
Well, I mean, what she said is that we're pretty stupid. I think that her rhetoric was really harsh there, and I wish she wouldn't have said it in such a manner. But obviously, what she was pointing out is like, typically speaking, 18 through 24-year-olds are going to lack maturity, worldly knowledge, etc. But I kind of agree with Trump when he says all Republicans are fucking stupid.
Yeah, I hear you. When does he say that?
Yeah, so he said that in the 1998. He was on an interview and someone was asking him if he were to run as president, what party would he run in? And he said he'd run as a Republican because Republicans are stupid.
But we can't go by what he did in 98, can we?
Oh, so it doesn't matter because he said it a long time ago? So thank you for the $1 on Venmo.
What I was going to get to is the girl that you said got raped. That was in, what, 96?
Sure was.
Yeah, you're just going to go back in time and pick what
Isabel, thank you for the $5 on PayPal. Thank you so much for the love. Go ahead.
You're going to go back in the time and just pick what you want is good and not good, or what?
I mean, I think that we could always reference like a grape that case that even happened in the 90s, because I don't think that it's going to be relevant how long ago it happened. What's going to be relevant here is if it happened at all. Like, for instance, I'll just ask you, Trump had raped a little girl in the 90s. Would you still vote for him?
Absolutely not. If he did rape a girl in a little girl
so
in the 90s,
the time frame isn't relevant.
He wouldn't be able to run for president.
Oh, that's a lie. If Jeffrey Dahmer was alive today, he could run for president in accordance with our Constitution.
Not true.
Yes.
But and there's one more point I'd like to talk to you about that we hadn't talked about. Y'all keep saying about all these policies that Biden got passed that Trump didn't get passed. You know what I'm referring to? How you always
like
go
the infrastructure bill.
What year was that?
The infrastructure bill was passed in 2021 and 2022.
That's right. And Biden took over in 20.
Yeah, early January of 2021.
Right. And they had the control of the House, the Senate, and the executive branch.
Yeah, they still had a lower split than Trump did.
But you do understand he had control of all three.
Yeah, and Trump had a bigger control of all three, specifically during the first 2 years of his presidency.
Trump never did have control of all three.
Wait, it was bipartisan legislation, so I don't think predominant control should be relevant here.
It's always going to be.
But Trump did have control of all three for the first 2 years.
That's the whole purpose of it. And that's just my point. Y'all say that Trump can't get this passed, couldn't get this passed. Well, he never did have control of all three.
Yeah, he did for his first 2 years.
I don't think so.
He did.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, Spurlock, I mean, I'd like to reference back the fact that you said you don't really care that Trump raped a woman because it happened in the 90s, but then I asked you, what if he raped a little girl in the 90s? Would you care then? And you said yes. So how come you care in one situation but not the other?
Because none of this happened till he was running for election. None of it was brought up. You said she didn't bring it up because she wanted to wait till her parents died. She's like 70 years old herself. Her parents would have been irrelevant to the whole equation anyway. I could understand if she was younger. None of this was relevant till he was running for the office. And then everybody started coming up to weaponize him again. It's a political weaponized.
So, Spurlock, you're particularly a victim of big lie propaganda. So, in Mein Kampf, right, Hitler's book, he defines big lie propaganda as basically just perpetuating an egregious lie through the speakers all day long, every day for years. And essentially, after a certain period of time, when you repeat the same lie over and over again, people will start to believe that lie as being truth, right? And this is exactly right what Trump has done when when we were referencing the Democrats unfairly persecuting him through the criminal justice system, right? He wants you to think that the criminal justice system is unreliable, so no matter what occurs to him, right, you end up trusting him at the end of the day, right? He also did the same thing to the Congress. He wants you to think that Congress is unreliable, so no matter what happens to him through Congress, such as the 2 attempted impeachments, that you still trust him at the end of the day. He also wanted you to think that like even our elections are unreliable, so no matter even if he's voted out of office, you still think that he's your one true president, right? This is literally like dictator, totalitarian, fascist fucking rhetoric, bro. Like, I mean, I'll just ask you the question: do you trust our criminal justice system? Do you trust our courts?
Absolutely no.
No, you don't at all. No, you don't at all. What about our Congress? Do you trust the Congress that impeached Trump, particularly, or the House that impeached Trump, particularly for the inciting the insurrection upon the Capitol? Do you trust Congress?
Are you when you ask me them questions? Are you asking as 100% whole? Or are you asking like there's got to be a percentile? There is
Just
flaws
generally.
in every system. There's going to be flaws, and that's why you have a chance to rebel.
Listen, here's just my main point. I'm just going to go and put it this way. Trump has instilled virtues within his cultist voter base not to trust our courting system. This is why you think the criminal justice system is unreliable, the DOJ is unreliable. Even some of our courts that ruled that Trump didn't have the election stolen from him, the 63 courts were unreliable as well. Even the Supreme Court, the one that shot down his case that Pennsylvania changed their voting rules, was unreliable as well. He doesn't want you to vote Congress because they're the ones that try to impeach him twice, and he doesn't even want you to vote to trust his past VP Mike Pence as well as the 34 other cabinet members that left his side and spoke to the masses, saying that they wanted to put Trump above the Constitution, and they didn't want to do that, right? He only wants you to trust him, right? This is literal fascist rhetoric. It is like he wants you to view him as a king with no trust in any branch of the government except for the executive branch, but only having trust in him inside of that same executive branch. It is literal fascist dictatorship rhetoric. It is gross, and I don't know how you buy into it. Bella, thank you for the $5 on Venmo.
Do you understand that there is flaws in every system? Do you agree with that? Do you understand that everything's not 100%, right?
Dude, I understand that everything's not 100%, but what Trump wants you to do is he wants you to appeal to that fringe minority of circumstances where that is flawed, and he wants you to abstract that to everything that has ever occurred to him in his lifetime. There's flaws in every system, but just because there's some innocent murderers in jail doesn't mean all murderers in jail are innocent. And see, you assume because there can be a flaw in the criminal justice system that whenever anything bad happens to Trump, that therefore it was flawed, right? And that's the issue. You don't associate yourselves with the facts. You contort reality to fit your narrative. Trump is not a perfect man. He did rape E. Jean Carroll. He did incite an insurrection upon our capital. He did try to overthrow our government through a coup in 2020, and he did commit 34 felonies. And these are the facts.
Let me ask you this though. Okay, so if he goes back, he appeals the felonies, and he appeals E. Jean Carroll, then are you going to say, "I'm sorry, I misspoken"? That's none of that's true. If he did go back,
if those cases get appealed, of course I would say that. But the thing is, they won't get appealed. Like, I'll just ask you the question: on what grounds does he have to appeal the civil case that held him liable for rape, or on what grounds does he have to appeal the criminal case that convicted him of 34 felonies?
That and for sure is getting appealed. But the E.G. Carroll, he didn't even think that was serious, that they would take it as far as they did because it was so preposterous. That was just so ridiculous.
Do you have any reason to believe that, or just what Trump said?
And listen, here, you keep putting in my you're trying to say that everything, that I like put Trump on a pedestal.
Do you have any reason to say that, or do you have any legitimate reason or evidence to say that the grape case was obviously false and preposterous, or do you just have your own emotions and what Trump said?
I go by the time frame and what I've seen.
You go by the time frame. What do you mean? Like the fact that she waited 23 years to come out when when 62% of women who get raped never report it to the authorities in their lifetimes, and it's incredibly typical for them to wait 20 years?
I'd like to speak on that, but I also want to prove one more point to you, and you're not going to agree. First of all, I don't listen to Trump. I go by my own mindset. Everything.
Do you think the 2020 election was stolen from him?
Absolutely. And I got proof.
There's no proof.
I got proof.
What is it?
All you have to do, and this is what you're good at, is looking at other people's information. You don't have no mindset of your own to determine your own beliefs. You go by what's written down from whatever.
This is so ironic, right? Just like you just said that you think that the election was stolen from Trump in 2020, and now you're saying that I'm a sheep, that I buy into the narrative, that I'm brainwashed. This is just really ironic.
You're getting mad, and I'm going to explain to you why, and it's pretty simple.
I think it's funny.
Well, all you have to do is see how many people in the United States was registered to vote in 2020?
I don't know. Let's look it up.
It's 100, and I think 60. I think it was 162,000 or million, 162 million.
All right, continue talking.
Okay, how many people did they say voted for Biden?
81.
How many people did they say voted for Trump?
1 second. I don't know.
Wasn't it like 72, 74?
Somewhere around there.
Okay, so you're telling me that there was only like a 4 million, 5 million margin of people that didn't actually get up and go vote out of the whole United States that was registered to vote?
If that's the amount of registered voters that didn't vote, absolutely, that's what I'm telling
So you're really gonna spread that misinformation, you know, and I know that
Ben, thank you for the paper crane.
that's not true. You know that.
Yeah, so actually that is true, and I'll go ahead and I'll tell you why literally right now. So first of all, we know that there was no sufficient evidence to justify the claim that Trump had won 2020 and it was like rigged by Biden, because Trump brought the court case that it was rigged and he should have won to 63 different courts. How many of those lawsuits were successful?
You're not going behind. You're not. So you're
Spurlock. How many of those lawsuits were successful? I'm asking you a question. I'm not.
I don't know how many of them's completed and how many of them are not completed.
0. All 63 of the courts that he brought the case to that the election was stolen from him threw it out for the reason of no evidence. Okay, and that's a fact. You are indoctrinated into a false belief. It's called big lie propaganda. Right?
I'm
Trump
not listening to nobody. This is all information I've obtained by myself. So
Spurlock, if you will just listen to me for a second without interruption, I'm legitimately trying to take you out of your cult-like behaviors and get you to understand the truth here. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat back to what I was saying. Right? We have no sufficient evidence to believe that the 2020 election was sufficiently rigged to be overthrown. Right? There's absolutely no justification for this claim. Right? It was investigated through audits. Right? We have like government agencies ruling that it was the most safe election in recorded U.S. history. We have 63 courts that Trump and his lawyers brought the case to that it was stolen from them, and all 63 of them threw it out. The Supreme Court even threw out Texas v. Pennsylvania, where his lawyers alleged that Pennsylvania had done the same thing. All right? Time and again, he's been disproven. You could ask a question, but then I want to start rapping again.
Okay. So what about the fake dossier?
Are you talking about
the false dossier?
What do you mean? Like, can you tell me what that's in reference to? Can you explain a little bit about it?
I shouldn't have to, but yeah, about making up the Russia hoax.
Oh, well, I mean, there was Russian collusion within the 2016 election.
So you're going to say that none of that was fake, that it was all, Trump did it all?
So just give me a minute here. So there was Russian collusion proven within the Mueller report. Right? What they didn't have sufficient evidence to demonstrate was like Trump's tie to the Russian collusion. Right? But I'm talking about 2020, not 2016.
You went back to 2016 a minute ago, and why is it not fair for me to go back and ask you about the? But that's what you're asking. Why do I have reason to doubt anything? That's my reason. They made a complete dossier, a Russian dossier, to come up with reasons to try to get rid of Trump. Then.
So it was once again proven in the Mueller report that, specifically speaking, there was Russian collusion within our 2016 election. Right, there just wasn't sufficient evidence to demonstrate that Trump was involved in it. Right, and it was just alleged that he was, and then when it was proven that he wasn't, right, Hillary had conceded the election. Right, but I mean, I'm just going to go ahead and continue on what I'm speaking on. And also, Kathy, thank you for the $5 on Venmo. Like, you do understand that Trump sent fake electorates to 7 different states to cast false votes into the Electoral College. You do understand that Trump, as well as his personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, as well as his business lawyers, specifically individuals like Keith Cheesebro, right, alleged a plan to send these fake certified votes to Mike Pence while he in Congress was certifying the election to keep Donald Trump in the White House. Like, you do particularly understand that Trump said to his aides, quote unquote, I'm just not going to leave, Trump told one aide. Quote unquote, we're never leaving, Trump told another. Quote unquote, how can you leave when you've won an election? He was even overheard telling the chair of the RNC, quote unquote, why should I leave if they stole it from me? Right? And this is what he alleged. And he even tried to implement this whole fake plan, right, to confuse Congress to get them to keep him in the office. Right? It was illegal. Right? He has admitted to this. He has had his lawyers admit to this. One of his lawyers even did an interview on Fox News where he came out and said that they did send these fake electors into 7 different states. This is an obvious coup in an attempt to overthrow our government. There's no other way to explain this. It is absolutely a lunatic baby raging because he didn't want to concede to the election. So then he tried to stage a coup against our government.
So you're telling me that it's okay for You want us to go, the Republican Party to go against a Democratic corrupt system that started out this whole process with a fake dossier with involvement with Russia, and you're wanting him to be 100% straight up and have to fight a false narrative all the way through, and him not ever step out of bounds is what you're.
He wasn't fighting a false narrative. That's the thing. That's big lie propaganda. It wasn't fake. You have no evidence, Burlock. It was not proven. It was absolutely not proven that the 2020 election was sufficiently rigged to be overthrown. Even Trump admitted that after the election had conceded, because he seemed to recognize that he lost to Biden. He had asked advisors to tell him what is going wrong. He confirmed one advisor saying, "We did our best." He even told his junior press aides, "I thought we had it," seemingly almost embarrassed by the outcome, right? But then what happened is he turned around and he was like, "No, I'm not going to concede this office to Biden. I'm going to stay in the White House right where I am." So then he was telling the Justice Department to specifically just come out with a claim that they had found voter fraud with no evidence. There's 3 individuals in the Justice Department that stepped down because they agreed and almost did it because Trump asked them. He even called the AG of the state of Georgia and told him to, quote unquote, find the 12,000 votes somewhere, sending the fake electorates to the state. This is a coup to overthrow our government. And you continue to re-reference what happened in 2016 with the Russian collusion. Hillary alleged that Trump was involved with the Russian collusion, and she waited until that was disproven to concede the election. Okay? If Hillary had done the same thing he did, I would hold the same stance on Hillary. But guess what? Hillary's not running, and she didn't do the same thing he did, and he's the only one running. Stop pivoting back to what happened in 2016 and recognize you are engaging in delusion. You are a part of the cult, and there's no difference between you and the flat earthers. There's no difference between you and the deranged cultists that drink the Kool-Aid, literally. There's no difference between any of this shit.
You do understand if there's one person in the whole world that don't listen to other people, it's going to be me, that I live my own life and in my own thought process that takes over. It don't have nothing to do. First of all, I don't listen. I go by what I see.
Give me one court that ruled there's sufficient evidence to overturn the 2020 election.
I could look at it and find it. I can assure you there's going to be. Yes, there will be.
No, there's not. There's literally not. He took this court case to 63 courts. They all ruled that there wasn't sufficient evidence for the 2020 election to be stolen. Every single one. Literally every single one. Find me a court.
Okay. Well, I'm just telling you, we don't even have to go to the courts. You're telling me that 5 million people did not vote. Only 5 million people in the whole United States that's registered to vote did not vote, is what you're telling me. And you and I both know that that's a lie.
How is that a lie?
Because you can go out and ask 50 people that you know or kin to if they voted, and there's going to be a percentage of them that did not vote. And almost all of them would have to if you're talking 5 million out of 160.
So 30% of people 18 or older didn't vote in the 2018.
That right there tells you that it's
2020 or 2022.
And that right there tells you that it's a lie. And that's all I'm trying to say.
How does that tell us it's a lie?
Well, yeah, because you add up, like I asked you to do to start with, add up how many registered voters there are in the United States in 2020, or look it up.
Yeah, there's like 170 million.
No, there's 162 million. Okay.
Right there.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Now, how many? We already know how many Trump or votes are saying Biden got. 81 million, right?
Yeah.
And they're saying Trump got like what, 74 million, 72 million?
I don't know. Jenna, thank you so much for the $20 on Venmo. I really appreciate you for the love. Let's get some massive W. Jenna's. That is Gena. Thank you so much for the $20. Yeah, like 72 million.
Okay. So that's so that's how many is that? Add that up.
So, wait. So the U.S. Census Bureau estimates that there are about 170 million registered voters at the time of the election, not 133. And there were exactly 158 million ballots cast. So what we specifically see here is that there were 158 million ballots cast and 168 million registered voters. So 10 million people didn't vote in that election.
Well, they moved it from 160 to, okay, so you're saying 10 million. That right there, so what's 30%? And you're talking about just young voters.
No, I was specifically referencing 18 and older out of everyone in the U.S. So yes, 10 million registered voters didn't vote. Like I want to make that known. Like we're only talking about registered voters here, ladies and gentlemen. We're not talking about everyone in our country. 10 million people who were registered.
And it's not 10 million. It was 162 million that was registered to vote.
No. We have
160.
168 million people were registered to vote at the time of the election, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. That's a fact. And 158 million ballots
Can
were
I
cast.
explain to you that it hadn't been 2 weeks ago that it showed 100, and I'm not looking at where you're looking, but it was 162 million.
Bro, I'm literally looking at a January 2022 population report.
Here's the point
You understand that I'm looking at a report from the U.S. Census Bureau from 2022.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying what I've been looking at too. But what I'm saying is that's not 30%. That's
Bro,
still way
it's
under.
30%
That's
of
like
everybody who's
5
over the age of 18 as a whole, and 10 million people that were registered didn't vote. And how does this give you sufficient evidence for voter fraud to overturn the election? It
Do you
fucking
know how
doesn't.
astronomical?
Spurlock, I'm talking. You are
asked me a
listening.
question.
No. So yeah, 30% of people who are over the age of 18 didn't vote in the 2020 election, with only 10 million registered voters not voting. It was the highest voter turnout that we've ever had in our country because of how the stakes were. All right, I think it's incredibly absurd for you to say I'm not going to listen to the handpicked 63 courts by Trump. I'm not even going to listen to the 17 courts with judges that he appointed. You're not going to listen to the Justice Department. You're not going to listen to the DOJ. You're not going to listen to Congress. You're not going to listen to Mike Pence. You're not even going to listen to the Supreme Court because they're the ones that overturned Texas v. Pennsylvania that also proposed alleged voter fraud. You're not going to listen to any of the facts. You're not going to listen to any of the courts. You're not going to listen to anybody that has actually sat down for an unreasonable amount of time and contended Trump's false claims. You're just going to rely on speculatory hearsay. Like, what base do you have to say that just because there was only 10 million people who didn't vote in 2020 that were registered to vote leads you to the conclusion that therefore Trump was a true victor of the election, when this is the case that has been proposed to 63 courts, 17 courts with judges that Trump appointed, and has been denied by every single one, including the Supreme Court? Right? Obviously, like, you're just reliant upon very poor evidentiary standards that are going to be more fitting to your like cognitive biases. Right? You're not going to be aligned with objective truth.
Okay, can I explain my thoughts then? Now that you're done.
Yeah.
We went over the dossier and I was explaining to you that's one reason, the Russian dossier. Okay, let's bring up, what about Hunter Biden's laptop that the FBI said wasn't true?
So Spurlock, you're either going to engage with me about a conversation about me trying to show you how you have a very unreasonable standard here to
And I'm
assume that the
telling
2020
you.
election was stolen, and the Hunter Biden's laptop has nothing to do with that.
It does, because the FBI covered for him, and that's what brings up my doubt with other things that you bring up as
Okay, I'm gonna kick you unless you're able to stay on conversation.
I'm just explaining that's my doubt. That's what brings up my doubt.
How does the Hunter Biden laptop give you reasonable doubt to assume that Trump won 2020?
Because the FBI said it wasn't true when it first come out.
Until there was evidence to report that it was.
Do you
Like,
understand?
I agree with you. I think that also the FBI didn't come out with that claim Joe Biden did. I think Biden shouldn't have ultimately listened to his son and just believed that it wasn't his laptop until there's sufficient reason to believe it was. Right? But I think that he should have just held off on making a claim until he had reason to assume it was or wasn't true. Like, at that time, there was no reason to assume it was true or wasn't true. I think that Biden unjustly held to the claim it wasn't. Absolutely 100%. But I mean, as evidence came out, the FBI was the people that originally even reported that it was true in the first place. Like, the FBI is the only reason you know it's true. But what the hell does that have to do with you thinking that Trump won 2020?
Because I'm telling you that too many people are covering for the Democratic Party. And you're asking me why I have so much doubt in the Democratic Party. And
Too many people. Who's covering for the Democrat Party, and what does that have to do with
the
Trump truly winning
FBI
the
for
2020
one.
party?
The FBI was for one.
Wait, you
And
understand
then-
that the individual that Trump appointed to direct the FBI while he was in office specifically said that Trump's claims that the election was stolen was false?
No, I don't know exactly which one you're talking about.
Yeah, look it up. Look it up. Trump's appointed chairman of the FBI said that his claims about the election being stolen was false, and also has nothing to do with it. Like, I don't know, for the 4,000 people in here, y'all could recognize the fringe hearsay and just this alt-right conspiracy theory. Like, this shit is no different than flat earthers. This shit is no different than 9/11 deniers. This shit is no different than Alex Jones going on his podcast and saying that Sandy Hook was set up. Right? No, there's no difference here. You have no evidence. You have absolutely no evidence to justify your claim that the 2020 election was sufficiently rigged to be overthrown. You don't know how to contend with the evidence that exists against it. Like, I gave you 63 courts, including 17 courts with judges that Trump had appointed. I gave you the chairman, the director of the FBI that Trump had appointed. I gave you Trump's own lawyers admitting, right, that Trump as well as them were involved with an attempted coup against our government, right? And what do you have?
What I have is my heart and my mind. And
yeah, you dumbass.
I understand.
Do you hear yourself?
I'm not 18 to 24, so I'm not. We can't go by what Camilla.
You
said.
have your heart and your mind.
Yes, and I have a understanding.
Get the fuck out of my life. We're moving on to our next guest. I'm probably gonna get taken down for that. But that was the most justified time to ever call someone that word. I'm probably gonna get taken down for that. Dude, that was by far the most justified time to ever call someone that word.
Hey.
Hey, what's up? How old are you?
I'm 21.
Are you voting for Trump?
I am.
Why's that?
Okay. I just want to state that, like, him personally, I don't like him. I think he's a piece of shit, based on everything he's ever said before. But, I have a lot of family, and my husband, they all work in the union. And I will say that back when Trump was president, the union did have a lot more job opportunities, and it also, they were getting paid a bit more. And like I said, Trump is a piece of shit.
Thank you for the $5 on Venmo.
Trump is a piece of shit. However, we were getting a lot more money back when he was president. And in this economy nowadays, I think that even a lot of people, because lately, I mean, since Biden won, a lot of people in the union, they've been getting laid off like a lot more. And these people, we all got families, you know, we all have to put food on the table. Some of us are working like 3 jobs.
Yeah, so you said that your parents work for the union. So Trump undermined our merit-based civil service system, granting managers a license to freely discriminate and retaliate against workers. Trump restricted union representatives' ability to advocate for their members on the job. Trump targeted workers' freedoms to negotiate on workplace issues, including reasonable accommodations for those with disabilities, employee training, overtime, telework, and flexible work schedules. Trump revoked the Department of Education's previously negotiated union contract and illegally imposed upon an anti-union directive, right, stripping 4,000 workers of all previously negotiated rights and protections. Trump specifically stripped away protections for the rank and file workers at the Department of Veteran Affairs, prompting a 60% rise in firings in the second half of 2017 alone. Trump reportedly turned a blind eye to the misclassifying of up to 30% of workers as independent contractors. Right, he stacked the National Labor Relations Board with a union-busting corporate lawyer. Right, he defended the right to work in a brief in the U.S. Supreme Court in a case called Janus versus AFS CME Council 31. He rescinded the Department of Labor's persuader rule, which required companies to disclose anti-union legal activities, and that's just like a quarter of his anti-union, anti-worker behaviors that he had while he was in office.
I mean, that being said, I understand, but it's a really complicated situation because back then we were actually making a lot more than we do now. And
well, I mean, that's not because of Trump or Biden. That's because a pandemic hit that caused global inflation. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, can you name a policy that Trump influenced to get passed that you think did good for the economy?
No, not really. I just follow whatever the union says.
Yeah, well, if you followed what, like, unions would say, they'd say that they don't like Trump because of how anti-union he was.
Well, actually, all the carpenters and drywallers and everyone in my state are all holding up Trump signs.
Reasons that I listed off that you still haven't responded to. Trump is like historically incredibly anti-union, right? I mean, you could just go to AFL-CIO, right? Just look up Donald Trump's catastrophic and devastating anti-labor track record.
Right.
Yeah, unions endorse Kamala, right? And then also I wanted to point out here, right? Are you pro-choice?
I am very pro-choice, yes.
Trump elected 3 people to the Supreme Court to overturn Roe v. Wade, which rescinded the legislation on access to abortion back to the state. And now in 2024 today, 1 out of every 3 women of reproductive age cannot choose to access that health care because of the Trump abortion bans that have been imposed. He destroyed like federal protections for women's access to abortion in America. Absolutely just destroyed them. There's even 12 states today, right, that don't even allow women who got raped and got pregnant like access to abortions because of his decimation of our federal protections.
I feel like there's other people who can probably give you a better argument because, like I said, I'm not really pro-Trump. The only reason why I'm voting for him is just because I gotta worry about my family.
Well, I mean, if you're worried about your family, you should, I mean, like, vote for Kamala, because not only is Kamala, like, pro-union and not anti-worker, right, she's also going to ensure a better economy, right, because Trump wants to replace the federal income tax with tariffs that are inflationary and would only make your life harder. Not to mention, Trump didn't make the economy while he was in president better, and Biden and Harris didn't make it worse, right? Let's just be a correlation causation argument, and you'd have to give me specific policy to indicate how they made it better or worse. Right? Kamala's shown that she stands for the people, that she stands for our country, and she wants to protect and serve our democracy. Meanwhile, Trump has shown that he only stands for himself, and literally tried to stage a coup against our government because he lost 2020 and didn't want to leave the White House. Right? And restricted access to healthcare for all 170 million American women and girls, and is incredibly anti-union, anti-worker.
Well, I mean, you got me.
Right. Well, I mean, will this sway your vote?
Probably not, but
Why?
will say I don't like Trump as a person. I don't.
Why would this not sway your vote?
Just because it's, it's what my state is for, it's what my family's voting for, and anything to put food on the table.
Well, that doesn't put food on the table. That actually takes food off the table. Food will literally cost more with his tariffs.
Like I said, someone can probably give you a better argument than me.
Okay, well, I mean, do you just, like, not even desire to engage in critical thought?
I don't really do politics in general. I kind of just came on here just to...
Okay. I appreciate you for coming up. I'm really hoping that you're able to listen. Like, I'm not going to fault you, right? Like, I understand that, like, the general populace doesn't get into these things. But, like, please, like, hear me out, listen to what I have to say. This affects you. This affects everybody. What's up, David? How old are you?
I'm 22, man. What's up?
What's going on, man? Are you voting for Trump?
I'm actually voting for RFK. I just want to ask you why you would like to vote. Why don't you?
Yeah, well, your vote doesn't matter. Moving on to our next guest. Let's go ahead and see what our next guest, Patch, has to say, y'all. Everyone just give us a minute. For the 4.3 thousand people in here, make sure that we are double tapping away in that phone screen, sharing out that live as well, y'all. And if you do want to support me, my Venmo as well as my PayPal are in my bio, y'all. What's up, Patch? How old are you? All right, Patch isn't here. Moving on to our next guest. If you're MAGA and you want to come up and debate, let me see a MAGA in that chat while we do get our next guest up in here, y'all. All right, we're moving on. What's going on? How old are you?
27.
Are you voting for Trump?
Yes.
Why do you care about someone that doesn't care about you?
So the reason I'm voting for Trump is mostly due to the fact that my family's income will be positively impacted because we do support ourselves via a small business. So
With
the
actually,
tax
if you're making,
deductions will benefit our family.
If you're making under $400,000 a year, your family would actually be better off voting for Kamala due to the fact that she specifically wants to raise personal taxes on people making over $400,000 a year.
I don't make under $400 a year.
Okay, so you make over $400 a year.
Yes.
So your family would benefit from that. Y'all would literally pay less in taxes.
Yes.
Right. But you're literally going to pay less in taxes at the expense of the middle class, at the expense of the low class, at the expense of all 170 million American women and girls, including yourself, at the expense of a threat to our democracy, at the expense of, like one man having too much power by loading the Supreme Court with Trump loyalists, at the expense of an individual, the VP, J.D. Vance, that has said that he would, not certify the results of the election if Trump were to lose, at the expense of caring about our climate. Trump says that literally, like, climate change isn't real. I mean, at the expense of already marginalized
Okay.
communities such as the LGBTQ plus
So,
community.
like, I think the
specifically
main
for the
thing
reason that
here,
he wants to
though, is
institute
that
Christian
I
nationalism.
don't vote based on social issues. So you're not going to be able to win that part of the argument just because I don't care about the
Okay.
stuff that you're talking about.
If Trump supported slavery, and this wouldn't impact you or your family,
He
and
doesn't.
wanted to legalize it once again, would you still vote for him?
He doesn't, though. So
I'm
that's
asking
like,
if he did.
if he did, I wouldn't vote for him, but he doesn't
Is that a
support
social issue?
slavery. Yeah, but you're making an argument that does not exist.
Well, why would you care about this one social issue that doesn't affect you, but you don't care about all the other
Because
social
it's not
issues that do exist that don't
impacting
affect you?
this election.
Well, I mean, I think I
We're
listed off
talking
a
about
ton of social
this
issues that do
election.
impact this election, and you said you don't care about
And
them
I don't
because they
care
don't affect
about
you,
them.
right? But I'm specifically asking you, why would you say you wouldn't care about all the social issues that actually do exist, but you wouldn't care about this one social
Because
issue that
that one that you brought up doesn't exist right now.
Well, all that I'm asking you here, why would you care about slavery, right? While not caring about access to healthcare for all 170 million women and girls, while not caring about access to like the same like social services, marriage, and like societal opportunity for members of the LGBTQ plus community. Like, why wouldn't you care about even just the financial well-being of the low and the middle class?
Because I vote for what's best for my family and what's going to line my pockets.
Yeah, I get that. But if slavery literally lined your pockets in the sense if we enslaved a third of our
But
nation's
I'm not gonna
population, it
like.
would make
You can't
richer,
use a
would you vote for it?
hypothetical when it's not applicable to this election. That's
I
just like
absolutely
not a-
can use a hypothetical because I'm showing you.
I mean,
how
you
your
can,
logic is
but it's
absurd.
not going to work.
Well, it actually, I mean, if it doesn't work, that shows that your logic is inconsistent. Because you're
Oh
saying.
no, it
like,
shows
the
that you're using
expense-
hypotheticals that don't exist. You have to talk about things that are going
Hey,
on
Fragrance,
right now.
I'm still trying to like talk. If you would let me like finish and
Because
listen.
your argument sucks.
I mean, actually, it doesn't suck. You just have 5 neurons actively firing. Because like I've detailed specifically how this would serve as
You
a
have-
detriment. Go ahead. You want to interrupt me? Go ahead.
Because the argument you're making is not applicable to what your prompt is asking.
It is. Would you like
It's
me
not.
to explain how?
Because Trump is not involved in any sort of slavery.
Wow.
So why are you
Analogies
bringing
are
that
hard.
up?
Okay. I mean, I think that like some people lack abstract thinking ability, and I think you may be one of those people. But I'm gonna go ahead and just repeat
Okay,
it
I
so we
think
might
you
be
may
able to
be
be on
one
the
of
same
those
page
people
here.
as well.
No, I'm definitely not. Okay. Anyways,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
you
go
definitely are.
Can I like finish, or do you have more to say, or like am I
Well,
able to speak, or what's
you're
going
just
on here?
getting mad because you don't like my opinion, but your
No,
argument sucks.
I'm actually not getting mad. I'm like beginning to get frustrated because I'm
Yep.
trying to give you an argument and you will not let me give
You're
it to you.
bringing up a hypothetical about slavery.
Yeah, so
Nobody in the comment section is agreeing with you. Everyone's
well-
saying you can't use that as an argument.
So I'll repeat the argument and hopefully you'll be able to track this time. So let's like
Oh,
listen
I'm not
closely.
an idiot, honey.
Oh,
You
okay.
can repeat it
Hey,
again and again.
Hey, you're
and I'm
doing
still
the
gonna say
interrupting
it's a
thing again.
hypothetical.
So with all due respect, if you're not able to allow me to speak, I will have to put you on mute. So can you please just allow me to speak here?
If you bring up the slavery thing again, I'm dropping because you're not going to win with that argument.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and repeat what I was saying, and hopefully you will let me speak. So you specifically are telling me that the reason you're voting for Trump is because your family makes over $400,000 a year, and this would line your pockets because Kamala wants to increase taxes on people making over that threshold. First of all, yeah, can't wait till you're on alone and you have to experience real life. Second of all, you said that you would literally line your pockets at the detriment of the middle class. Kamala wants to raise taxes on people making over $400,000 a year to increase the child tax credit to $500 a month, at the detriment of the low class, at the detriment of all 170 million American women and girls that will specifically not have access to federally protected healthcare because of his, filling of the Supreme Court to overturn Roe v. Wade, at the detriment of the state of our democracy in of itself. During the 2020 election, when he baby raged in a loss, he sent fake electorates to 7 different states to cast false votes into our electoral college, and specifically got his lawyers to like call up the Justice Department, tell them to just say that the election was stolen from him, and then 3 of them did, and then they had to step down for that, as well as he tried to call the AG in the state of Georgia and told him to just quote unquote find 14,000 votes to reinstitute him as a president again. He even said that he's not leaving the White House, he's going to stay there for as long as he can, and he did. He tried to, right? But you're telling me you don't care about the state of our democracy as long as it lines your pockets. You don't care about all 170 million American women and girls as long as it lines your pockets. You don't care about the lower the middle class as long as it lines your pockets. So my question, well, would you care about enslaving a third of our population if it were to line your pockets? Is not an absurd analogy because we already see similar harm being caused that you don't care about because it limits your pockets. So that's why I'm asking you this
It's not
hypothetical that you're
similar,
unable to
though.
address.
That's where you're wrong. It's not similar. And as an American, your right to vote is and should be a selfish decision. You have the right to vote for your best interest. And that's all I'm going to say on this because
So
I'm
if
in the
your
middle of
best
work
interest-
right now. So
Wait,
I
I'm
do have to go.
Wait, no,
And
no,
this
no, wait, no,
argument-
don't leave.
I
Hey,
do
real quick
have to.
before
I'm
you
sorry.
leave,
I'm on.
Would you still vote for Trump if he raped, tortured, and imprisoned a 13-year-old girl? Sarah, thank you for the $10 on Venmo. Thank you for the love. Thank you so much, Sarah. So yeah, if the Epstein files were true, insofar as him raping, imprisoning, and torturing a 13-year-old girl, Katie Johnson with Jeffrey Epstein, would you still vote for him? Oh, she doesn't know how to unmute a mic. Girl, that's sad. You were like 20 max, and you don't know how to unmute your mic? You're acting like a boomer.
I just
There you
did.
go.
I'm working right now. I'm sorry. I do need to go.
So would you vote
Yeah,
for him
have
if
a
he
good
raped
one.
the 13-year-old? Okay, we got a runner. Okay, moving on to our next guest. She ran away, ladies and gentlemen. See, that's what happens, ladies and gentlemen. That is exactly what happens when you come up here and you have a 5 IQ. All right, moving on to our next guest here, y'all. We're gonna go and get our next guest up in the queue, guys. If you are MAGA, if you are voting for Trump, make sure to hop in that chat, hop in that queue, or just let me know that you're MAGA in the chat below. We're gonna go ahead and get our next guest up in here at this time. Let's go ahead and get Cheryl loaded up in the box. And if you do want to support me, my Venmo, my PayPal are in my bio. I get 100% of the proceeds on those platforms. It means a lot to me. We're going to go and get our next guest up in here, y'all. Once again, if you're voting for Trump, hop in that queue. Let's go and see what our next guest here has to say. So everyone just do kind of give us a minute, guys. Everyone just do be patient. Do give us a minute while we are loading up our next guest. And also, everyone, make sure to hit that follow button as well, guys. What's up, Claiborne? How old are you?
I'm 52 years old.
Awesome. Are you voting for Trump?
Sure is.
Yeah, real quick. Would you vote for someone that more likely than not raped a woman?
What'd you say?
Would you vote for someone that more likely than not raped a woman?
It depends on the circumstances.
Olivia, thank you so much for the $10 on Venmo. Saying hotties for teen. Yo, thank you so much for the $10, Olivia. Well, the circumstances are him raping a woman.
Well, and that hadn't been proven. There was no physical evidence to tie him to them.
Oh,
to
you
that
talked to Parker
situation.
yesterday? All right. Yeah, there actually specifically was, but we're going to go to move on to our next guest since someone in the chat said that you already talked to Parker yesterday. All right, keep spamming the MAGA chats. We're going to go to move on to our next guest here, y'all. Everyone, just give us a minute. What's going on, Oliver? How old are you? Oliver, hi, you're on the live. How old are you, man? Okay, Oliver's actually not here, so we're going to go to move on to our next guest. We got Wicked Wavy loading up in the box, y'all. Everyone be patient. Also, do double tap. Do hit the follow button as well. Everyone right now, if that button's red, make sure to hit that shit. What's up, Wicked? How old are you? All right, Wicked's automatically dipping as well, even though he specifically did just come up here and say MAGA in the chat. So we're going to go to move on to our next guest. I think he just got a little scared. Let's go and get our next guest, Wake Up Project in the box. Yo, Andre, thank you for the $5 on Venmo. I really appreciate you for the love. Saying keep dog walking these mouth breathers. That is so fucking real.
Listen.
Hey, what's up, man? How old are you? Lex and Caprice and Gavin, welcome in, everybody. It's so good to see you all. Everybody tuning in to the live, welcome back in. We are going to just go ahead and hop right back into the debates, ladies and gentlemen. If you're voting for Trump, hop in the queue. Per usual, we're first guest just to have up here on the panel with myself while we are kind of waiting on the first guest request. Just back in time, hell yeah. It's so good to see you all. For the first 500 of you guys in here, make sure you are double tapping away on that phone screen. It is so good to see you all. Make sure to double tap. Make sure to send out that live. We are probably shadow banned on this account because it's been a few days since we went live on here. So make sure to share out that live, y'all. Okay, we already have a couple guests. Let's just go and get our first guest, Weiler, up of the night. So let's go and see what Weiler has to say. Everyone just do give us a moment here, guys. Everyone just do give us a moment. What's going on? How old are you? All right, they automatically left. Moving on to our next guest. If we're MAGA, make sure to let me know in that chat. And if you're in the guest request, make sure you're here to debate. What's up? How old are you?
Hello?
Hey, what's up? How old are you?
I'm 21.
Are you voting for Trump?
Yes.
Why is that?
I feel like he was going to give better policies than Kamala.
Okay, why do you... Okay, yeah, what's one policy that he influenced to get passed during his first term that you agreed with? Okay, hi?
Sorry about that. Is it the inflation policy? Was that him or was that Biden?
Well, I mean, do you agree with it? Do you agree with the policy?
Yeah.
So that was Biden.
Oh, it was?
That was Biden-Harris, yeah.
Oh, for real? I thought that was Trump.
The Inflation Reduction Act, yeah, that was Biden-Harris. I think it's funny that I'm asking you for one policy that Trump passed while he was president that you agree with, because you said he has better policy than Kamala, but then you named a Kamala policy. It's pretty hilarious. Hey, would you vote for something that more likely than not raped a woman?
Sorry, say that again.
Would you vote for someone that more likely than not raped a woman?
Obviously not.
So a civil court, through unanimous decision of 9 jurors, did conclude that Trump had more likely than not raped a woman in 1996. So does this mean that you will not be voting for Trump?
You said a civil court?
Yes.
So he wasn't criminally charged?
Yeah, but I didn't ask you about a criminal conviction. I asked you about if he more likely than not did this.
Well, if he most likely or not did it, then I guess, yeah. But if it's not a criminal, I don't know. I feel like a criminal charge will like solidify that.
Dude, I like how I asked, dude, I don't understand. Like the cognitive dissonance in you is wild. I asked you the question, would you vote for someone that more likely than not raped a woman? And you're like, absolute. No. Hey, you said absolutely not, right?
Yeah.
But then as soon as I inform you about the fact that that's something Trump had done, you're now saying that you're still going to vote for him because you want a criminal.
I didn't even say I was going to vote for him. I said that he wasn't criminally charged.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. So because Trump more likely than not raped a woman, does this mean that you're not going to be voting for him?
Okay, what evidence do you have of that? Like that he was like that. They said that but was he criminally charged though?
They said that he more likely than not raped a woman.
More likely or not, so it's not like he actually did it. It's just more likely. Like that doesn't make sense.
I mean, earlier you told me that you wouldn't vote for someone that more likely than not raped a woman.
Yeah, but I'm saying if somebody more regardless of the fact, right? If you're saying more than likely and not saying he actually did it, then like
that's it. This is enough evidence to say that he did it. Yeah.
But what I'm confused. Like, what evidence did they have to like say that he did that? I'm just asking a question, bro. Like, why are you getting so aggravated for it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting aggravated to slight amounts because you made it very clear that you absolutely wouldn't vote for someone that more likely than not raped a woman.
Yeah.
But now, as soon as you learn that this is something Trump was held guilty for, now you say, well, it's not clearly certain that he did, so you don't.
So all right, so he was held guilty, and they what did they do? Financially hold them, or they
$84 million.
So all right, so he was guilty. So he did rape somebody.
Yeah.
And a civil court said that he raped somebody.
So does this mean that you won't be voting for him because he's a rapist?
Well, if he's a rapist, then like obviously not. I would never do something like that.
Okay, so you're not going to be voting for Trump. Awesome. Well, is there anything else that you wanted to go over?
No, but like I just had one question. Like, why? Like when I come up here trying to learn, like you over here being mad rude. Like, dang, what did I do to you?
I mean, I didn't intend to be mad rude. If I came off like that, I do apologize. I do appreciate you for coming up. We're going to go ahead and move on to our next guest here, y'all. Make sure we are in the queue that we're specifically voting for Trump, y'all. Let's go and get our next guest, Joe, up in here in the meantime, guys. Make sure that we are double tapping away in that phone screen. Let's try to get up to 50,000 likes. Also, make sure that we're taking this live and sharing it out with a couple of friends. What's up, Joe? How old are you? Okay, Joe automatically left. Moving on to our next guest here, y'all. Everyone just do be patient. Give us a minute to get our next guest, Andres, up in the live. And Savannah, thank you so much for that mustache. It's very kind of you. Moving on here, y'all. We're still just trying to get our next guest up in the queue. What's going on, Andres? How old are you?
I am 28.
Phenomenal. Are you voting for Trump?
Okay, so I am not. I apologize for being in the wrong.
What's up, Catfish? Are you voting for Trump?
Yes.
Awesome. And why is that?
Well, I mean, when you compare 2016 to 2020 and 2020 to now, I mean, it's kind of hard to debate it.
Well, I think it's quite hard to debate that Trump is better than Kamala. I agree with that. So anyways, what are your reasons here to be voting for Trump?
Well, I mean, she was in office. She was vice president. So it's not like she's never been in a position of power.
Yeah, she's been in a position of power for the last 4 years and passed some of the most monumental legislation in modern U.S. history, such as the PACT Act, the CHIPS and Science Act, the Infrastructure Bill, the Inflation Reduction Act. Phenomenal presidency, right? So all I'm doing here is I'm asking you why you're voting for Trump.
Well, I told you why I'm voting for Trump. I mean, we compare and contrast. I mean, are we going to disagree that times are more difficult now than what they were 7 years ago, 6 years ago?
Oh yeah, they're definitely more difficult. So how did the Biden-Harris administration make the economy worse?
That's a great question. I wish somebody had the answer to that.
Well, I mean, you're just assuming that they did, but I have a question. So
Well,
under
it's not.
Trump's
Okay, go ahead.
it is an assumption, absolutely, because an assumption is a belief held with no evidence.
That's because nobody gives evidence. They talk circles around it instead of saying, hey, we see it right here. We see it raised, but oh, we don't know why it raised. It's
Well, I mean, we
nobody's
do.
fault.
Yeah, so we actually do. So if we want to reference like the inflation onset at the beginning of the Biden-Harris administration, that was a global response from the pandemic. We didn't just see it here home in the U.S., but we saw it in every country around the world. But specifically speaking, the U.S. had the quickest global rebound from it out of any country within the G7. And also, Mary, thank you so much for the $10 on PayPal. I really appreciate you for the love. Let's get the W Marys. And just a question I'd ask you, if we could kind of associate anything that happens in our country with who's sitting in the Oval Office. Well, at the end of Trump's term, we saw a 14.8% unemployment rate. Could I blame that on him?
I think it's a fair assumption. I do think all elected officials have a little bit to do with everything that happens. And nobody's perfect, and we can all agree on that. They're politicians at the end of the day.
Wait, so Trump caused the highest unemployment rate since the Great Depression, and Biden caused, think of the boxing gloves, 15 million jobs to be added back to the economy. If I use your logic here, it seems really insane to be voting for Trump.
Well, it doesn't seem insane. I mean, unemployment's not the only thing that goes into it.
We saw unemployment. He's the only one of two presidents that we've ever had in the Oval Office that have left office with a net loss in jobs, right? Like, meanwhile, Biden has added 15 million jobs. The Biden-Kamala presidency has added 15 million jobs back to the economy, right? We've seen an insane reduction in inflation, a 6-point decrease over the course of the last couple of years. We've seen the greatest economic growth in the U.S. compared to any other country in the G7. Wow, like, you have no reason to be voting for Trump, even if we use your fallacious logic.
So we're talking about unemployment rate that happened at the end of his term when COVID began. So we can use COVID as an excuse for the Biden and Harris administration, but we can't use it for the excuse of the Trump administration. Same thing with the economy. The economy is going back up because now COVID is going down. We both agreed on that.
Walking into
so
the
it's not
point,
that they
sir.
did better.
Walking into the
I'm sorry?
point. You're walking into the point. Yeah. So now you're like considering external
what's wrong with the
variables. You're considering external variables to explain how something can happen under a given presidency. Good job. That's why we shouldn't blame like the high rates of inflation or higher pricings of good on the Biden-Harris administration.
Okay. So
you driving?
I'm riding. I'm in the
behind the
passenger
wheel?
seat.
Okay.
I am in the passenger seat. I have a co-driver. Anyways, where were we? So we're saying it's not against president. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying when we're comparing 2016 to 2020 to 2020 to 24, what are we going to see 24
But
to 28?
if the states that you were comparing, such as like your financial well-being, right, or like how much you're paying for goods, if like the differences in your financial well-being and the pricings of good wasn't caused by the presidents, well, why would this comparison give you reason to vote for one candidate over another? Michelle, thank you for the $10 on PayPal. I really appreciate you for the love, Michelle. Let's get some W's in the chat from Michelle.
We have more than just financial. We also have the wars that we're a part of, and that's worldwide. We also have the inequality. Nobody wants to stand with each other. We're as separated as we ever have been. We're not unified anymore.
Because of Trump.
And that started. Okay.
Yeah, so
it was
the
actually
reason that we
started
see
in 2008.
The reason that we see a lot of political separation right now is because of Trump's big lie propaganda, specifically saying things like the Democrats are the reason that he raped a woman, Democrats are the reason he committed 34 felonies, Democrats are the reason that he's not in the White House and that he was the rightful winner of the 2020 election, all right? And then also just the him politicizing like basic human rights. Like those are the two big reasons why we see the political division we have today.
So how old are you?
Me, I'm specifically 19 years old.
Okay. So actually, in Obama's term is when the not being unified started. I lived through it. We were actually more unified under Trump, and then we started separating again.
Him and his wife had one of the highest approval ratings ever, like 70 to 77%.
Right, that's great. But the American people were divided. like we are right
No,
now.
that shows American unity. Right? What shows more partisan politics is like the polling numbers of like Kamala Harris and Trump right now being like between like 40 and 50.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
Jade, thank you for the sunglasses. Yeah, like he absolutely caused political division. Like I already detailed to you how. Right, one of the biggest causes of the political division was a coup that he staged against our government and the insurrection he caused upon our capital. Right. He also wants to shift the American focus away from like intellect, well-reasoned beliefs, and critical thought to just holding to fringe conspiracy theory and engaging in his cult-like rhetoric. Right. He wants to be viewed as a fascist king, a dictator, a ruler. Right. And he's like caused virtues to distrust to be held by his supporters for like the checks and balances of the executive branch of our government by telling people not to trust Congress because of their attempts to, impeach him, or not to trust the Supreme Court or all of our courts because he deems them all as unreliable because they ruled the election wasn't stolen from him. The division is being caused by the introduction of fascism and authoritarianism to our democracy. The division is being caused by the politicization of like very instrumental rights such as access to health care, women's access to abortion, the right for gay people to get married, etc. And that is what causes the division.
Okay. So, and I just want to touch on one thing too. You said, he's a fascist and he wants to be seen as a dictator, global leader. So everybody always uses that term and they say he's going to be a dictator, he's going to be a leader. Yet 2016 to 2020, he had already been in there and was never a dictator.
False.
So,
he had literally attempted to overthrow our government in the year 2020. He literally tried to overthrow our government to become a dictator in 2020.
In 2020, become okay.
He literally, he got his lawyers, he got his men, he called like the chair of the RNC and told her to gather together some Republican nominees to specifically find like fake electors to send to 7 different states to cast false votes into the Electoral College, to send fake certifications of false votes to Congress to certify him as being the president even though he lost, calling like the AG of Georgia to quote unquote find to 11,000 votes because he lost in that state. Right, like telling his VP not to certify the results of the election because he wanted to stay in power, telling his aides that he was going to remain the president, that he was going to stay in the White House, and there's nothing that anyone could do to get him out. I mean, he absolutely tried to stay in power, and he ultimately failed, and he got people from the Justice Department fired because he got them to say that there was election fraud without any evidence. And he lost all 63 court cases. Like, even one of his aides recalls, quote unquote, and he said to me, in a kind of exciting tone, quote, "Well, we don't care. We are not going to leave. The boss, Trump, is not going to leave under any circumstances. We are just going to stay here in the White House in power."
Yet he did. So those claims don't matter at all. So the words that you're saying about,
we will see what happens, get rid of this Trump said, quote unquote, "We will see what happens, get rid of the ballots, and you'll have a very peaceful." There won't be a transfer, frankly. There will be a continuation.
Right. Wanted to ensure that it was not a fraudulent election. That's what they wanted to ensure, and that's why it was checked. Because it was the first time we've had an election that was electronic. It's the first time that we had it during a pandemic, and there was a lot of stuff that didn't add up. That's why it was double and triple checked.
Everything added up.
With voting
That's big lie propaganda, and it was proven by 63 courts that Biden won, he lost, including 17 courts with judges that he appointed, and he still denies it to this day.
Okay.
And this isn't the first election he's denied, by the way. When Obama won against Romney in 08, he tweeted out that that was a rigged election, too.
Okay. I think there was a lot of interesting things going on during this election, during 2020 when it was coming down to it. But it was looked into, and people above us said that it was legitimate. That's all we can go by, and
Trump still thinks that he's president. Trump still thinks that he was the rightful winner. His son, Don Jr., was heard defending the position that Trump won the 2020 election as soon ago as the Republican National Committee.
Okay, so are you saying that it's not normal for people to think they won something? Because boxers do it all
it
the
is
time.
absolutely not normal for us to have a president of our country that specifically rejects that they lost an election with no evidence and then tries to stage a coup against our government to stay in power.
Okay.
Are you telling me that that's normal? Are you telling me that's something you want to lead our country? Are you telling me that's normal, sir?
I think that's a normal response to think you won, yeah.
Who else has given that response, sir?
I think it's very normal for people to think they won something.
Name
especially
one
if you
other
feel as
president
if
that's
you
done
won.
that.
Name another president that's done that. I don't have a president that's done that.
It's because they don't. See what I mean? No.
Right. We
This
can compare
absolutely
46
Wait, I'm so
presidents
sorry.
to 4 million people.
Catfish. Would you say that like rejecting the outcome of an election and causing an insurrection and trying to stage a coup against our government is something that a good president would do?
Questioning the election's a good thing. I don't know that he staged
That's not
a
what I
coup.
asked you. That's not what I asked you. And yes, he staged a coup. Him and his lawyers got fake electorates to go to 7 different states to cast false votes into the Electoral College and to send false certified votes to Congress, in which he then tried to get Mike Pence to legitimize off of a fringe legal conspiracy theory called the Pence card. This is something that happened. It's been proven in courts. They've admitted to it. They've testified to it. Him and his lawyers are currently seeking immunity, calling it an official act of the presidency. All of this happened. It's not a lie. Okay? So all I'm asking you here, is this something that a good president would do to protect and preserve the state of our democracy?
Well, I can't speak on that because that's the first I've heard. Now, if I've seen some evidence of it and a legitimate thing, then I would agree. But if I have no evidence of it, then how am I supposed to speak on it? That's the
Really?
first
So
I've heard.
if I play you a clip right now of Trump's attorney getting interviewed by CNN and defending the position that this is an official act of the presidency that they're currently seeking immunity for by the Supreme Court, would you concede and believe me?
I would believe what you're saying, but it wouldn't change my opinion of who I'm voting for.
Jack Smith doesn't have a case, that this case should be dismissed on that basis. I don't think there's sufficient private conduct here to support the indictment, to support the ongoing prosecution. And that's what we're going to be litigating in front of the district court now.
Even just the false slates of electors, you don't think that would constitute enough for a trial?
Well, we would say alternate slates of electors. And as we argued before the Supreme Court, alternate slates of electors have been a method used by previous presidents, most notably Ulysses S. Grant, to ensure the integrity of prior elections. So we believe the assembly of those alternate slates of electors was an official act of the presidency. That's what
He admits it right there. He just admits that he sent false electors to 7 different states to cast false votes into the Electoral College. He just admitted to it. That's his lawyer. And you know why they're admitting to it? Because they want immunity for it. And they have to admit to it to get immunity.
Well, I mean, I guess I could look at it 2 ways. Again, it's not going to change what I vote for. But, okay.
Why wouldn't that change who the hell you're voting for? Fucking explain to me how this guy's staging a coup against our government, calling the Justice Department, telling the Justice Department to come and say that the 2020 election was stolen with no evidence. Well, by the way, 3 people at the Justice Department have stepped down and conceded their jobs because they agreed with Trump, calling like one of the representatives from Georgia saying to like cast false votes into the Electoral College and quote unquote find the 11,000 votes somewhere, then sending the fake electorates to the states, then having his own lawyers admit to it on national TV because they're seeking immunity for it, literally trying to stage a coup, quotes from him saying that he wants to get rid of the ballots, they're not going to leave the White House under any circumstances, and they will stay in power, and there's not going to be a transfer of power, and there will be continuation of his presidency, and then even Don Jr., his own son, saying to White House officials that they need to use all the power they can get through all the sources they can to maintain our current POTUS. Like, this is an obvious attack on the state of the liberalism, peaceful transfer of power within our country. This is an obvious attack on the state of our democracy, and this is an obvious attack to overthrow our government. And you are so ignorant for sitting here telling me that you're still going to vote for him. You are brainwashed. Brainwashed, brainwashed, brainwashed. There's no difference between you and flat earthers. There's no difference between you and the cultists that drank the Kool-Aids. There's no difference between you and the 9/11 deniers or the people that said Sandy Hook was a setup. No difference. None at all.
You feel better now?
Tell me how I'm wrong.
You know, you're attacking me and calling me names, but anyways, I'm going to continue to be polite, as Republicans typically are. It's not going to change who I vote for. Could there be a better candidate? Sure. But unfortunately, the other candidate, Kamala, is not a better candidate. Is there better that could be on the ticket? Sure. Is there people that could stop me from voting for Trump? Yes. But given the choice between the two, I'm going with Trump.
I had to close my window because someone's mowing the lawn out there. The last thing I heard you say is that Kamala's not a better candidate. What were your reasons for that?
Yeah, so I said, is there another candidate that could potentially sway me from voting from Trump? Yes, there is. But given the choice between the two, Kamala is not that candidate that's going to sway my opinion.
For what reason?
That's just the truth of it. I would vote for Trump
Can you give me a
if
reason,
given the
though?
pick of those two.
Yeah, why is Kamala not a better candidate than Trump? Hello? Do you have an
I don't
do you
know.
have a
I'm
response?
seeing every other word on your screen ever since you said your window.
Okay, it's MAGA Mobile Chat. We're gonna go to move on to our next guest. Y'all, I'm so sorry. You guys are brainwashed. Destiny's so right. Destiny's so fucking right about these MAGA supporters. We're gonna go to move on to our next guest, y'all. If you guys do want to support me, my Venmo as well as my PayPal are in my bio. I get 100% of the proceeds on those platforms, and I really appreciate y'all support on them. What's up? How old are you?
I'm 63.
Are you voting for Trump?
Oh, yeah.
Why is that?
Well, some of the things you've been discussing just now, for instance, you said that he lost all of his court cases. None of the court cases were even, the evidence was even looked at. It was all.
Yes, it was. The evidence was looked at, and it was
the
determined that they
cases were
didn't have
turned
it.
down from standings.
For what reason?
For standings.
For no standings. And what does it mean
Right.
when a judge
No
determines?
standings means
what
the
is it,
people who
what does
brought
it mean
the
when a
case
judge? What
forward
does it
in
mean
the
when a
eyes
judge
of the
determines?
court didn't
that
have the
they-
legal right to bring the case forward. They didn't
So
have the
specifically,
legal
when a judge
right
rules,
to bring the case forward.
when all 63 judges ruled that Trump had no standing for his
No
case,
standings. That's right.
they simply ruled that he had no evidence.
No, they didn't. No, it wasn't about the evidence. It was about who had the right to bring the case forward.
And why
Now-
would Trump
now
not
let's
have
talk
the legal
about
right
the-
to bring
let's
this case
talk about the
Why would Trump
machines
not-
that you-
why would Trump not have the legal right to bring this case forward?
Because in the court size, it had to be brought forth in a different way.
What way did it have to be brought
I
forth
don't
in, and what
know.
way
I
did they
don't.
do it?
I don't know why that happened that way. But they,
So see what I mean? So what you're doing right now is you're lying, and now you're getting caught
No,
up in
I'm
your
not
lie because
lying.
you can't demonstrate how it is a lie. Yes, it is a lie. You're literally telling me that no, they did have evidence for it, and the judges didn't reject it for no sufficient
had
evidence. The judges
evidence
rejected
that
it
was
because they didn't
never
have the legal
looked
right to
at.
bring it forward.
That's the
So
truth.
specifically speaking here, it was looked at by Trump and his lawyers because they were the ones trying to
That's
present
why
the
they
case
were
to the
trying to
60
bring the case forward.
Bro,
And they were
shut
told
up.
they had no
Shut
standings.
up, shut up.
Who but the candidate himself or the voters for that candidate would have the right to bring a case forward? Who's supposed to have the right to bring a case forward? How about you answer me that?
He had the right to bring the case forward.
No, he
and
didn't.
The judges had the right to rule
They
with
said
no
he didn't
standings.
because he did have his lawyers try to bring the case forward. So who besides him and the voters for that candidate would have the right to bring the case forward?
Yeah,
That machine also, the machine and the software,
that would demonstrate
both
that the
parties
particular
have deemed
reasons the
that
judges
machine and
rejected
software
the
to be
the 63
easily
cases
hackable.
wasn't because of a lack of evidence, but was rather because they lacked.
And
the
that
right to bring the case
machine, you
forward.
talking about they had all
Hey,
that
Simple Stone, I'm
evidence that
asking
they
you a
looked at,
question.
and that's not true.
Hey, Simple Stone,
The
I'm asking you
machine
a question.
has intellectual property protection that prevented careful scrutiny.
Hey, I'm asking you a
Both parties
question.
have
Simple
said there's a
Stone.
problem with that machine.
Hey,
and
Simple
the
Stone, I'm
software.
asking you a question. Can you please provide me a source that would demonstrate the reason the 63 court case is worth?
I don't know why they refused it. I'm puzzled by that, truthfully.
I thought you just
That
said the
puzzles
reason
me.
they
Why
refused
would
it is because Trump
the
didn't have the
candidate
legal right.
himself and his voters not have the right to bring a case forward? Who else besides them should have the right to bring a case forward?
Hey, Simple Stone, I'm asking you to give me a source that would demonstrate the reason it was thrown out wasn't because of a lack of evidence.
I told you it was
rather
for
because they didn't have
standings.
the right.
I don't know why they said that they didn't have standings, but that's what they used. That's the excuse they used.
It's because
Just like
when they had no
ever
standings, that
since
just means
Trump
that they had no
said drain the
evidence.
DC swamp, all I've seen is Stalin police state tactics of
Bro.
show me the man and I'll show you the crime.
Simple Stone. With all due respect, I'm gonna put you on mute now because I've been trying to talk. You're steamrolling here. So when the judges ruled that he had no standing, it just means that he had no evidence. There's no sufficient evidence for widespread voter fraud to overturn the 2020 election. I sent you a request to turn back on your mic.
Yeah. There's
Sandra, thank you so much for the $15 on Venmo. Sandra says, please let your audience know to check their voter registration. Absolutely, y'all. Everyone, make sure that you're a registered voter to vote in November. Thank you so much for the $15, Sandra. And if you disagree here, what's the sufficient evidence to demonstrate widespread voter fraud to overturn the results of the 2020
I just told you that there was no evidence looked at. I just told you that 4 times.
Wait, if there's no evidence looked at, then why do you believe that it was sufficiently rigged to be overthrown?
I think there's overwhelming evidence, but they've not looked at
so
any.
you're telling me that there's both no evidence and overwhelming evidence?
No, there's overwhelming evidence, and here's
what reason
the thing:
do you have
that
to believe there's
machine,
overwhelming evidence?
that machine that everything was done on, has intellectual property protection that prevents it from careful scrutiny. So for one thing, you can't really. It's not whose fault.
I'm not.
Do you think a machine? Do you think a machine that can't be scrutinized should be in charge of an election?
It definitely can and is scrutinized.
It is, right. It can and is, but should it be? Should a machine and a software being used that you can't even scrutinize, you can't look into it and check it and make sure that it's doing what it's supposed to do, you think that should be able to be used in an election?
They can and are looked into.
They can and are looked at by the Dominion company.
Audit after audit.
No, they don't. No, the auditors were never allowed. The auditors in Arizona were not allowed the stuff from the machine. Matter of fact, they subpoenaed that evidence multiple times and was refused that evidence because of the intellectual property protection.
No, because they had no good reason to subpoena it.
Oh, they didn't have any good reason, right?
That's what I've
I
continued to
hear
repeat
you.
to you.
I hear
and
you
that's what I've
double speak.
conti-
It's just like you're saying that Trump's economy failed. Well, COVID is why.
Okay, so Simpleton, I'm gonna put you on mute now, and I'm gonna educate you. So it's just so funny. Like, you continue to make these claims with no evidence. Serenity, thank you for the $25 on Venmo. I really appreciate you for that love, Serenity. Let's get some massive W Serenities in that chat. Serenity says, keep frying them. It's the funniest thing to watch. I really appreciate you for that love. And like, I continue to like give you my sources as well, right? I'm citing Trump's own lawyers. I'm citing the 63 cases that they brought up, including the 17 courts with judges that he appointed. And you're giving me your thoughts, feelings, and emotions. You're not cooking shit. You know, you're maybe cooking one of those maybe cooking some McDonald's fries, maybe. But I think ultimately speaking here, the point is that you continue to like hinge your worldview on these conspiracy theories. It's called big lie propaganda. And I think that's so important for like us to point out here. So big lie propaganda is essentially the idea that if you repeat a lie with enough conviction for as many days as needed and to enough people, that eventually people will start treating this lie as some foundational truth with no evidence, right? And that's exactly what I'm saying you're doing because of Donald Trump's propaganda, right? You will never be able to give me any evidence that there's sufficient voter fraud in the 2020 election have it overturned. You will never be able to give me any, right? Everything that you've said right now is literally speculation and emotion. Well, I'm not looking for speculation or emotion. I'm looking for a fact.
How is anybody supposed to give you evidence when the evidence has never been seen in a courtroom? Why has it not been seen in a courtroom? Because of standings. Why is it standings? Nobody can tell you, right? We're just supposed to accept it. Oh, we don't know why they won't accept the case to be brought forward. We're supposed to accept that.
We do.
Yeah, I know why. Because there's a corrupt bunch of people in this government.
Okay. Well, I mean, I feel like you were already wrong here. So it's not that they didn't want to see the evidence in court, and that's why they rejected the cases. It's that the cases had no evidence to begin with.
The evidence that was never shown. Right. Okay.
No,
I got
they
you.
just didn't have any evidence.
No, I got you. I see where you're coming from. You're coming from the point. You're coming from that point that you've been brainwashed to believe.
Serenity, thank you for the $10 on Venmo. I really appreciate you for that love. Let's get it some W Serenities in the chat. No, Simple Stone, name one piece of evidence that they had.
I could tell you right now, if you even watched the 2000 Mules movie documentary, you'd know what kind of evidence they have. And it wasn't just that. There were all kinds of shenanigans.
Oh, fuck. Why does a 2000 Mules movie now banned from theaters?
You're saying it's banned for... I could tell you the answer
thank
to
you for
that,
the $5 on Venmo. I
I could tell you
appreciate
the
you for
answer
the
to
love.
that if you really want to know the answer.
The 2000 Mules movie is banned from theaters because they didn't have any evidence for their claims either. They just said that the people were packing these ballots and moving them. No evidence. None. Zero. Nada. More propaganda. You're deep into the conspiracy theory. There's no difference between you and a flat earther, no difference between you and the cultists that drank the Kool-Aid. Honestly, I see a bunch of people like saying in the chat that I'm getting cooked right now. I'm gonna invite y'all all up. I want to get a whole panel of people who believe in this conspiracy nonsense. All right, Jim B, I'm gonna go to invite you up. I just want to demonstrate. Like, it is literally so important for me to demonstrate to all the people in the middle that are watching right now.
You think in a
how
freedom of
there's no
speech it
evidence
should
they
be
have.
banned, right? That's how you believe.
I think that free speech is okay. Speech is wrong.
You think that
Deanna, thank you for the $5
if
on
it's
Venmo.
not the speech that you think it should be banned.
I'm inviting everyone up that like agrees with this guy because I want to show everybody in the middle, all right, specifically why it is the case that these cultists are cultists. Brady, what's up? You agree with him, right?
Yeah, I agree with him. But my question for you is, what do you think about them open up at the borders though? Because like real shit,
What's the policy that Biden Harris passed at open the borders?
Yeah, but you see, did you see about the border she wants to pass? Did you see about the policy she wants to pass if she takes office?
Actually, the policy that they did pass, the executive order, decreased crossings by 55%, putting us at the same amount of crossings we had.
Kamala Harris.
Lower amount of crossings we had at the end of Trump's term.
Kamala Harris has already said that she's going to give them all citizenship.
I've gathered all three of you. I'm getting a fourth up here right now. So all of y'all think that the 2020 election was sufficiently rigged to be overthrown.
Yes, they had proof
Where's the
of
evidence?
dead people sending in ballots. People that were dead, proven dead.
More people voting than were on the
Awesome.
list of voters.
Awesome. So I'm going to address both of y'all's claims. Bradley's saying that dead people voted. This guy's saying that more people voted than were registered. So about dead people, 1 second. About dead people voting, Bradley, first of all, dead people have quote unquote voted in every single election, right? Because there's always voter fraud. In fact, some MAGA voter admitted to voting for his dead mom 2 nights ago on Parker's Live. The question isn't, was there any voter fraud? The question is there sufficient voter fraud to account for millions of votes to sway the election for Biden? The answer to that is no.
In Georgia
And then
alone,
specifically
you just said he was looking for.
Simple Stone, now I'm going to respond to your claim. You said that there was more people that vote than were registered. So specifically, there's 168 registered American voters in 2020. 158 ballots were cast. You're wrong. And he left. So anyways, go ahead, Bradley. Go ahead, you guys. I'm gonna keep like filling up the panel with like people that deny the outcomes of the 2020 election because I'm gonna educate each and every single one of you.
Well, I'm about to educate you.
Yes, let's go. I like this.
Right. So
I'm waiting.
All right. Beyonce 2024, Coconut Tree, Kamala 2024.
All right, Bradley, now it's just you. So yeah, what's the sufficient evidence to show that there's sufficient voter fraud to overturn the results of the outcomes of the 2020 election?
Bro,
Kathy, thank you for the $2 on Venmo. I really appreciate you for the love.
Basically, bro, the voter fraud was basically you think that the government that's in office right now does not have the power to sit there and pay people because people admitted that they got paid to fucking vote in that way. Like, let's be real.
So which court case ruled that? None of them. So Trump took the case that there's sufficient voter fraud to overturn the results of the 2020 election to 63 courts. How many of them even told him that he had some evidence? None of them. They all said he had no evidence. Didn't even pay it a mind, right? All said that it was false. These claims had no evidence for him. You know what Trump did do? He tried to stage a coup against the government. He sent fake electorates to 7 different states to cast false votes into the Electoral College, false certified voting pages into Congress to get Pence to certify the false votes to reelect Donald Trump. Donald Trump went on record saying that we will not leave. We are never going to leave. We do not care. The boss is not going to leave under any circumstances. We are just going to stay in power. Trump also said, quote unquote, well, we'll see what happens, get rid of the ballots, and you'll have a very peaceful. There won't be a transfer, frankly. You'll have a continuation. He attempted to stage a coup against our government, even telling the Justice Department to falsely announce they had evidence for widespread voter fraud, which led to 3 people in the Justice Department getting fired that did. He told Georgia to just falsely come up with 14,000 votes. He did the same thing in Arizona, Pennsylvania, Michigan. Come on.
All right. Can I switch the topic here for a second? Because I'll tell you the reason that.
And you got flagged for civic and election integrity as well. Moving on to our next guest, y'all. Let's go and see what Porsche 911 has to say. Moving on to our next guest. Guys, if we are in the queue, make sure that we're voting for Trump. If you're MAGA, make sure to hop in that queue, y'all. What's up? How old are you?
Yeah, I'm 20.
Yo, Sean, thank you for the $10 on PayPal. Let's get some W Sean's in that chat. I really appreciate you for that love. Let's get some massive W Sean's down below, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, Sean. Are you voting for Trump?
Yeah, I probably will be.
And why is that?
Because I think he's a better candidate than Kamala Harris.
Yeah, for what reason?
I just think he's better overall, stronger on the world stage. And I
Yeah,
don't
but I'm
think
asking
Kamala
why.
Harris really has anything to. I don't think she really has anything to show non-domestically.
I have a big question. Who's stronger on the world stage? The prosecutor or the felon rapist?
The felon rapist.
Really?
Really.
I mean, I think to like world leaders, right? They're definitely going to look at the individual it's a prosecutor that's written legislation that has put people in jail, sentenced people for violent crimes, right? Over like this cheap ass felon who only stands for himself with a lack of a backbone that raped a woman in 1996. They'll look at him as an opportunity, not as strength.
Won't they look at Kamala Harris, the woman that like kept a black guy in prison?
Rin, thank you for the $10 on Venmo. I really appreciate you for that love. Thank you so much, Rin. I really appreciate that. So you said she kept a black man in prison longer than she should have had for withholding evidence. So you're
Yes.
referencing the guy in Black Row on death row. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw something about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's actually still on death row to this day. The DNA didn't exonerate him. Gavin Newsom particularly investigated this in 2018 and ruled that she'd actually advocated for DNA to be provided. The testing was done. He was still guilty.
What are your thoughts on
Acai, thank you for the $25 on PayPal. I really appreciate you for that love. That's a WISAI. Thank you so much for the love. Let's get a massive W for Acai in the comment section. I really appreciate you for that love. Massive W Acai. Thank you so much for the love.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on
Wait, don't pivot. Don't pivot.
how am I pivoting? What did you ask me?
Because you asked me about her withholding evidence for a black man on death row. Abri, thank you for the $4 on Venmo, and that was false. It was investigated.
I'm pretty sure she
by
still
Newsom.
held the evidence back though. So
No, that's false. Could you give me a source?
no, can you give me a source telling me that it was false?
Bro. Okay, so this is what the MAGA cultists do. They make a claim, then I'm like, I don't have evidence for that. They're like, give me a source that I don't have evidence. Motherfucker, you have
What's
the
your
standard.
evidence though?
Yeah, so you
What's
have the
your
burden of
evidence, though?
proof because you're making the positive claim. I'm
Where's
not
your
going to
proof,
enter. Sure, you are the one that made the claim.
Yeah, that's fine. You proved me wrong. So where's your source to prove me wrong?
Hey, buddy, what's your source that Stewie Griffin didn't create the universe through temporal time loop, and when we all die, we go to Family Guy heaven? Can you prove that wrong?
What do you? I mean,
Oh
you're
shit! Looks like
pivoting.
I'm justified in assuming that Stewie Griffin is literally God.
You're pivoting though. Where's your evidence?
Okay, so I have a question. What's a burden of proof?
You tell me.
A burden of proof is essentially you having to assume some reason to believe in what you do. So when you posit the belief that you think that she withheld evidence, particularly from a man on death row, you will have to provide evidence for this belief. It's called a burden of proof, right? So when you make a positive claim, you have the burden of proof, right? And to shift that burden of proof is not only a logical fallacy, but it's also a form of a pivot. So can you provide me with evidence for your claim or can you not? Outrageous claims demand proof.
As of now, I guess I don't have evidence, but I've seen other people talk along the lines of it. So
I mean, yeah, we saw Trump and the whole MAGA cult hold to the claim that 2020 election was sufficiently rigged with no evidence. I
Yeah, I
demand proof
know.
from them too. Yeah, it's the MAGA cultist worldview. No proof for what you believe, and you place your feelings over your facts. I have a question though. How do you feel about the fact that Trump is a rapist? Would you vote for someone that more likely than not raped a woman?
yeah, I don't think it's a pretty good thing. Obviously, it's a horrible thing, but I think he's a better. I think in the end, my vote is better for the country going to him than Kamala Harris.
So you would vote for a rapist. So I have a question. If the
Yeah, I
Epstein
would.
files, if the Epstein files were true insofar as him raping, imprisoning, and torturing a 13-year-old girl, Katie Johnson, would you still vote for him?
I mean, if that's true, then I guess I would probably reconsider.
So why would you reconsider if he raped a little girl, but you wouldn't reconsider if he raped an adult woman?
Because I'm pretty sure there was some controversy in that thing. So, but I still think he's a better candidate,
We're
anyways.
assuming both to be true. If he raped an adult woman, you would vote for him. If he raped a little girl, you wouldn't. I'm just asking you why you hold a different standard there. And Paul, thank you for the $20 and the 24 cents. Let's get some W Pauls in that chat. And Abry, thank you for the $10 on Venmo as well. W Pauls and W Abrys, I appreciate y'all both. I'm actually going to go ahead and read off both of y'all's messages after Porsche responds here. But W Pauls and W Abrys, it looks like Paul says, for all your great work. And Abry says, here's some more. Thank you for your service. I really appreciate the both of you guys. Thank you both so much.
What do you ask? What's your question right now?
Yeah, so assuming both cases to be true, you said you would vote for him regardless of raping an adult woman, but you wouldn't vote for him if he raped a little girl. So why do you hold a different standard between those two scenarios?
I wouldn't say I do. I'd still reconsider both, obviously. But I still think he's a better candidate. So in the end, it's going to be him.
Okay, so you would vote for him if he raped a little girl?
I mean, I guess, yeah. That's a hypothetical situation you're saying right now. So
DOE 174, not hypothetical. Look up the Jeffrey Epstein files. Crazy, bro. Okay.
Hey Dean, I got a question for you, bro. I got a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead. I've asked you questions.
Did you feel pretty good kicking that one guy when he cooked you about the Israeli situation?
No, he got destroyed.
You kicked him. You know that, right?
Yeah, I did.
You did. You kicked him.
Yeah, because I kick someone doesn't mean that they beat me. I typically kick people when they get competitive.
He was cooking you, and then you said he left, and now you're admitting you kicked him. So it's kind of a bad look, Dean.
I never said that he left. He particularly got a live violation and got kicked for the live violation.
At the time, you said he left by himself. So it's kind of a bad look, Dean.
I'm literally just clarifying what happened. He got a live violation.
Kicking the opposition?
Removed for the live violation.
Not a good look.
For what reason?
Because he was putting good points and asked you a question. You kept pooping on that.
Kathy, thank you for the
Never
$2
answered.
on Venmo. So, like, first of all, yeah, if someone gets a live violation, they get kicked because TikTok forces me to. And then, like, second of all, here, what was a good point he made? Third of all, nice pivot.
Yeah,
like, I mean, you're just pivoting off the fact that you just said you'd vote for a person that raped a little girl. Like, massive pivot. But name one good point he made.
Yeah, he was asking you the question, what would you do about Hamas? Because you just keep saying like dumb shit, and you never answered the question.
Wait, I did. I mean, my answer specifically was I don't know what I do with Hamas. It's a secondary issue to me. The primary issue is just ending the genocide on the innocent Palestinians.
Okay, so you do nothing then.
No, me saying I don't know what I do is it's a secondary issue to me. Does not equate to I do nothing.
Okay.
Can you name one good policy that Trump passed while he was president that benefited the middle class more so than the rich people?
I mean, you can just look at it. Everything was cheaper during his presidency.
Yeah, but I'm asking you for the name of a policy.
I don't have any policies on hand.
Can you name one policy that he influenced to get passed that you agree with in general?
I mean, he was stronger against the border.
But I'm asking you for a name of a policy. Like I don't like.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't research this for a living.
So you can't name a policy. Well, I mean,
Yeah, no.
Portia, the reason that this question is so important for me to ask here is because you specifically said that you don't care about what he does outside of the Oval Office. You literally said you'd still vote for him if he raped a little girl, right? Because you only care about what he's going to do for our country. Well, how do presidents do stuff for our country? How do presidents do stuff for our people? Through policy and executive order. But if you're saying that you don't care that he raped a little girl because he has good policy and you don't know his policy, you're a willfully ignorant, harmful voter.
Did he rape a little girl? Is that true? Is that proven?
Dude, you said if it was proven, you would vote for him.
No, is it proven though?
I don't think that we don't have a court case proving it now.
So why are you saying that then?
Yeah, because I asked you if it was true that he raped a little girl, would you vote for him? And you said yes, absolutely. Right? So I'm showing you how you are a willfully ignorant, harmful voter because you are only basing your vote in November off of policy, but you don't know the policy and you just admitted to that.
Well, I just think he's better than Kamala. What does Kamala have to show?
Oh
What does
yeah,
she have
well I
to
mean,
show
first of
on
all,
the
if you
world
listen
stage
when you
and
listen to
domestically?
when you listen to JD Vance and he says that Biden's track record is Kamala's track record, we'll see that Kamala co-signed some of the most monumental legislation in modern U.S. history. We're going to be looking at the Chips and Science Act that will bring 20% of the global chip production back home here in America by 2030. They can act the PACT Act that specifically invested $800 million in the expansion of VA healthcare benefits, granting benefits to over 1 million new veterans. The particularly the Inflation Reduction Act that's invested millions of dollars into reducing inflation in the long term. Thank you so much for the money gun. Specifically by investing millions of dollars into renewable energy resources, or the infrastructure bill that invested $1 trillion in the infrastructure here at home in America. On top of the policy, we specifically would say that I'd vote for the prosecutor over felon, the non-grapist over the grapist, the non-misogynist over the misogynist, the non-racist over the racist, the non-fraudster over the fraudster, the person that actually cares about our democracy and serves the people, in comparison to the person who took away the rights out of 1 out of every 3 women of reproductive age here at home in America by restricting their access to healthcare, and literally tried to stage a coup against our government and attempted to undermine our democracy. The decision has never been made more clear.
What are your thoughts on like Kamala being in charge of the border and how it's been going down there?
Okay, so you don't want to respond to any of that. I'll go ahead and respond to the border nonsense. What authority did she have over the southern border?
I mean, she's the vice president. She has the opportunity to push for a lot of things and get a lot of things done. But
Oh, the opportunity they did. They pushed for 2 bipartisan border bills. Then Trump called the Republicans in Congress, told them to vote against him because he didn't want to make the Democrats look good, and even said at one of his rallies to blame it on him.
yeah, I think she still could have done better with that.
So what
Because
authority did she have on the border?
I mean, she had the opportunity to get a lot of things done, but nothing happened. So
Well, nothing happened. That's a lie. They passed an executive order that decreased crossings by 55%, putting us at lower levels now than we had at the end of Trump's term.
wasn't that passed just pretty recently so they could pander for votes?
That was passed pretty recently after legislation has been failing in Congress for the past 2 years because Trump called the Republican lawmakers on 2 separate border bills.
Okay.
So yeah, how do you feel about the fact that Trump tried to stage a coup to overthrow our democracy in 2020?
Yeah, I think it's pretty fucked up. He wouldn't be my number 1 candidate, but it's still gonna have to go to him, you know?
So you actually recognize and believe the facts that he sent fake electorates to states to cast false votes into the Electoral College, told his VP not to certify the results of the election because he wanted to stay in power, and you also recognize quotes such as him saying that, quote unquote, we're going to see what happens. He wants to get rid of all the voting ballots, and he wants to maintain his presidency through continuation without a transfer of power. He also says, quote unquote, well, we do not care and we're not going to leave the White House. The boss Trump is not going to leave under any circumstances. We're just going to stay in power. He also called like the Justice Department, told them to like say that there's widespread voter fraud without any evidence, which caused 3 people in the Justice Department to step down, and then even like called the AG in Georgia and told him to announce widespread voter fraud and to find 14,000 votes from somewhere, and then even told his VP not to certify the results of the election through the, like what was called the Pence card, and then not to mention JD Vance's current VP pick even said that if he was there on January 6th, he wouldn't have certified the results of the election, and that's why he chose him because he's a MAGA loyalist. So you're going to tell me that this man now, like propped up with his voter base at his, bending the knee to him at his feet all throughout the government, that this is going to be a good decision for the state of our democracy, for the state of our country, for the state of our nation?
Well, yeah, I think, okay, can I just kind of explain myself real quick? Like explain a little real quick here?
Yeah, but real quick, Renee, thank you so much for the $35 on Venmo. Thank you so much for the love. Let's get some W Renees in that comment section. Renee says, I don't know how I do this. Me neither. Thank you for the love. Tommy, thank you for the $1. And Caleb with the $20 on Venmo. I really appreciate you for the love there, Caleb. Let's get some W Calebs with a K in that comment section. Thank you for the love. Caleb says, can we talk on Discord sometime? Yeah, sure. Join my Discord, man. The link's in my bio. W Caleb and W Renee, and Mike with a $25 on Venmo as well. Mike says, hey, if the Republicans can't pronounce Kamala, it's not a big deal. They can sure pronounce Miss President. Yo, Mike, you cooked. Thank you. Charlotte with a money gun. You fucking cooked there, Mike. Hell yeah. Then thank you for the $25. Down for misinfo for a week. Luckily, the appeal went through. I think that me talking about Trump's fake electorate plot gets me banned for misinfo, so I have to be like, a little bit more arbitrary with that. But anyways, for everybody coming back in, I appreciate y'all for being here. For the first 400 of y'all, please, if you hear my voice right now, help me out by tapping away on that phone screen and help me out by sharing out this live with a couple of friends. We need to try to get work back into that TikTok algorithm, and that is going to be a phenomenal way of helping me. And we're also just going to go ahead and hop right back into the debates. So if you are voting for Trump in November, let me see you in that queue. Let me see a mag in that chat. Ladies and gentlemen, y'all already know. But yeah, once again, welcome back in, everybody. We got taken down for a week-long misinfo ban for literally no reason at all. But yeah, without further ado, let's first guest of the night up in the box. So everyone just be patient. What's up? How old are you?
How's it going? I'm 42.
42. Are you voting for Trump?
Oh, absolutely.
And why's that?
Why? Because he's the best thing to America since like apple pie and hot dogs, baseball.
So the greatest felon, election denier, narcissist was the best thing for America?
Yeah, well, that's good. Can I ask you a question? How old are you?
I'm 19.
19. So you're going to vote. Have you ever voted before?
Nope, not in a federal election, sir.
But you are going to vote this year?
Absolutely. I'm going to vote for the best thing for America since apple pie, that being the woman that wants to reinstitute healthcare and access to healthcare for all 170 million American women and girls. It's going to keep the raging lunatic, narcissist, rapist, racist, misogyn war, election denier, fraudster, felon out of the office. What's contention here?
You can't use apple pie, hot dogs, and baseball, so you can't use it.
I mean, Trump probably can't throw baseball either, but yeah. So why do you think Trump is the best thing to happen?
Fucking Joe Biden. Okay, let me ask you this: Why did they throw Joe under the bus, dude?
Okay, well, I mean, I did ask you the question why you think that Trump is so good, but you didn't want to answer.
Yeah,
that's because Kamala has a better chance at winning.
Borders, he can do that. The economy's up. We can take care of that. So.
Okay, so borders and economy. So a couple of things here. First,
most important things to me.
Do you want to respond? Thank you. So when we're referencing the borders and the economy, so first of all, after Biden's executive order on the border, crossings have fallen 55%, putting us at a lower rate per day now than we saw at the end of Trump's term. Then when we're referencing the economy,
no, he didn't. Dude.
Oh my God.
No, he didn't. We've had over 10, 11 million, maybe more, since Biden became president. So we're
referencing since his executive order. I would like to be able to finish
executive order. What do you do? Because he overturned Trump's executive order?
No, an executive order to fix the crisis at the southern border, specifically for the reason that Trump shot down 2 bipartisan border bills that were passing through Congress because he didn't want the Democrats to look good. He even said at one of this rallies to blame it on him if the border bills fail.
No, he didn't. Why you put all that fake stuff out there, dude? What's with you?
No, this is something that Trump said himself.
Bullshit out there. No, he didn't.
Would you like a source?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Show me. I'm from Missouri.
Yeah, so you could reference The Hill. Just look up Trump saying to blame it on him if the border bills fail.
No. I didn't say you did. So you produce it, dude. You look it up and tell me. You're the one.
Yeah, so I'm giving you the source. We have AP News, Politico, and The Hill.
I want you to give me. I want you to tell me what the source is, and I want you to prove it to me because he never said that. He never said that.
Yes, so he did say this, and the source for these claims are going to be AP News, The Hill, and Politico. You can look up Trump says to blame it on him if the border bill fails, and you will find these 3 sources. They will be the first 3 things to populate within your Google searches.
So how come they take it
Abry, thank you for the $5 on Venmo. I really appreciate you for the love. Thank you, Abry.
How come they taking all of Kamala's history of shit she did and taking it off the internet, dude, and just wiping it? Why?
Okay. What has she done that's been wiped off the internet?
Just a lot of stuff has been taken off. But you know what? It's already out there.
Can you be more specific?
Just stuff, dude. Stuff about her. Whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because she's an idiot, dude. Come on, face it. She can't even talk. She has word salads. She can't even freaking put nothing out of her mouth, dude. She's an idiot.
I definitely do think that the prosecutor is going to be smarter than the felon. She's definitely much more like honestly, Trump is so mentally incoherent and he's really shown his age. He's the oldest presidential candidate that we've ever had in history. He's an old idiot. He's an old man, bro. Why do you want to vote for this old, incoherent, delusional man, right? He's obviously not coherent enough to be serving our country. He's obviously too old. I mean, he was sharding during his debate with Biden, right? His supporters say he has a bedtime. Like, come on, bro. You're going to call? He's an idiot. Why would you vote for him? He's so mentally incoherent, talking about sharks and batteries and sharks, right? Being so delusional, saying that the 2020 election was stolen from him. He's an idiot. Okay, and he left. We're going to move on to our next guest here, y'all. Let's go and see what our next guest has to say, using the same old rhetoric against him. We got user loading up in here, y'all, for the 1.2 thousand people in the stream. Make sure to double tap away in that phone screen. We are talking to the MAGA cultists all day long. What's up, user? How old are you? All right, user's not here. We're going to move on to our next guest, y'all. Let's go ahead and see what our next guest has to say. Let's go to see what our next guest has to say, y'all. Everyone, just do give us a minute. If you're MAGA, if you're voting for Trump, let me see that in the comment section. But what's up, Kenya? How old are you?
Oh, shit.
Okay. I'm honestly just going to load people up from the comment section now. So if you want to come up and debate, let me just see it in the comment section, y'all. Alrighty, we're still just looking for our next guest here. Everybody, just give us a minute. We're waiting for the MAGA comments to start rolling in here. We're going to go ahead and get our next guest up here right now. Guys, we may have to hit a restart on the stream, though, y'all. Hey, what's up? How old are you?
18.
Nice. Are you voting for Trump?
Yeah.
And what is that?
So the reason is mainly I hit up Kamala on Instagram because she's bad as hell and she won't respond.
All right, moving on to our next guest here, y'all. Let's go and get Eli up on the live. Everyone do just be patient. What's up, Eli? How old are you?
Yeah, I'm 27. How's it going, Dean?
Doing all right. Are you driving right now?
No, sir, I'm not. I just have my AirPods in.
Okay. Are you voting for Trump?
I am.
All right, and why is that?
Well, he's the lesser of two evils.
Why?
Why do I think that Trump is the lesser of two evils? Well, under Trump's administration, the economy was better.
How did he cause the economy to be better?
Well, I think he inherited it, the economy, and personally, I believe that he stabilized it through through Obama's, and he did a really good job of creating a lot of things. I mean, $6,000 were added to the middle class family.
And how did he add $6,000 to the average income of the middle class family?
How did he add?
Through what policy or executive order?
He passed a tax credit act.
Yeah, so particularly speaking, the tax cuts, 83% of those tax cuts went to the top 1%, and it footed a bill of $2 trillion on the American taxpayer through debt-related spending, right? And it only led to an average annual GDP increase of 0.02%. Kamala wants to take its tax cuts and raise them on people making over $400,000 a year, so it predominantly impacts the middle and low class, and she wants to raise the child tax credit to $500 a month, so she's only going to make it better. So in this regard, you'd have more reason to vote for Kamala over Trump. And you also said there that the Biden-Harris administration caused inflation. How did they do that? Can you name the policy or executive order?
The policy and executive order? No, I cannot. But I will tell you this, Dean. I will tell you this then. Okay, well, the wars don't help, obviously, what's going on.
The wars are causing inflation?
Absolutely. Look at everyone. Look at all the countries.
Did Biden or Harris start any of those wars?
No.
Do they? Would they be responsible for this?
But we do have a hand in it. We have a hand. I mean, listen.
A hand in them.
We are fighting. Listen. We are fighting a war, helping fight a war that we should not be fighting in. Why can't we just worry about our own selves?
Which war?
The Ukraine-Russian war. Why are we giving money to Ukraine? For what?
Because of the Budapest Memorandum?
Dean, we don't need to be giving money, buddy.
Yeah, we do, because of the Budapest Memorandum.
No, listen, Dean, nobody gives us money. Nobody helps us out. No, but enlighten me on it, please. I'm listening.
There's a denuclearization agreement we signed with them stating if they give up their nukes, we'll defend and protect them if they're invaded.
Okay. But I'm just telling you, Dean, we don't have to be in these wars that we are in, man.
I mean,
no, we
unless
don't.
Signed with Ukraine through the Budapest Memorandum and then make us seem unreliable to other like foreign countries around the world that we may want to entertain like conversations and like negotiation on denuclearization agreements with, We do, absolutely, because if we just back out of that, disrespect that deal we made with him and no longer uphold that end of the bargain, well, this is going to tell foreign adversaries like Iran, or even North Korea, that no matter what they could possibly negotiate with us insofar as a denuclearization agreement, there's going to be a high probabilistic based chance that we're just not going to honor that end of the agreement. So funding Ukraine, sending them $100 billion in weapons, actually puts America first for that reason. Right? Not to mention that this would be inflationary by its increasing of the deficit, right? But the Biden administration has only increased the deficit by $4.6 trillion. Meanwhile, the Trump administration increased the deficit by $8.7 trillion. So we ultimately still see more federal money spent and more debt added to our country under Trump in comparison to Biden.
All right. So let me ask you this, Dean. What has Biden done for the American people? What has he done for the black community? What has he done for the black community?
Oh, well, I mean, that one's easy.
What has he done for the Asian community?
Biden-Harris administration has invested Biden-Harris administration has invested $16 billion into historically black universities. How much did Trump?
Wait a minute. You said how much?
$16 billion. How much did Trump invest?
I'll have to look into that, but I
$1
will
billion.
say that Trump,
$1 billion. He invested $250 million a year. So Biden-Harris has actually invested 16 times more, right, into HBCUs in comparison to Trump's presidency. Then if you just want to ask me what they've done for the American people, they've done a lot for the American people, predominantly the working middle class, right? Like the CHIPS and Science Act, bringing 20% of the global chip manufacturing here back home in America. Elsie, thank you for the happy Friday, right? Specifically making manufacturing jobs become more available to the middle class, investing $800 million into the expansion of healthcare benefits for the VA, right? Specifically investing $1 trillion into our infrastructure, or investing millions of dollars into our renewable energy resources to reduce inflation long term, right? These are all policies that predominantly benefited the middle class more so than it benefited the top 1%. Can you name one policy that Trump influenced to get passed while he was president that benefited the middle class more so than it benefited the top 1%?
Yeah, I just said it, man. He added $6,000. He added $6,000 on everybody's
the name of the policy.
For me personally,
Eli, so specifically when I reference the Biden-Harris policy that benefited the middle class more so than rich people, I gave you the names. CHIPS Act,
I don't know what
CHIPS and Science Act, PACT Act, Infrastructure Bill, Inflation Reduction Act. Name the policy that Trump influenced to get passed that benefited the middle class more so than it benefited the top 1%.
Dean, I don't know what the act. I don't know what the policy is. But if you
Newsflash,
look
it doesn't even exist.
Listen, if you look under Trump's accomplishments, you can see it.
Well, I mean, how can you attribute the increase in the income of the middle class to Trump if you don't know how he directly caused it? Would I be able to attribute the 14.8% unemployment rate at the end of his term to him? Is that one of his accomplishments, Eli? Why not?
You got a point.
Yeah. Or like the negative net loss in jobs under his term?
I will tell you, Dean, you're a smart kid.
Yeah, I appreciate you for that, Eli.
You're a very smart kid, man. All right, and I appreciate what you're doing, informed. But I'm just letting you know, Dean, that for me personally, I just think better at taking care of people, Donald Trump does a better job for all.
I don't think he does. No, I mean, he didn't have any policy that tended for the needs of the middle class over that of the top 1%. Paulo, thank you for the fireworks. I appreciate you. His only policy, the TCJA, right, just like gave a bunch of tax cuts predominantly to the top 1% and footed $2 trillion onto the American taxpayer through debt-related spending. And then he put the rights of all 170 million American women and girls on the line by reversing Roe v. Wade. And he also tried to stage a coup to overthrow our government in 2020. Right after this election denial that was unfounded. I mean, Mike Pence left his side, 34 cabinet members left his side, representatives from Texas left his side. We see the Lincoln Project, Republicans leaving his side, right? I left his side, right? I supported Trump in like 2019, 2020, and you should too, right? There's absolutely no reason why we should be voting for the felon over the prosecutor, the rapist over the non-rapist, or the narcissist over the person that cares about the American people. So, Kelia, thank you for the $5 on Venmo. I really appreciate you for the love. Thank you.
Dean, all right, you're right about the border crossings. It is at an all-time low. But listen, Director Wray, all right, of the FBI, went on to Congress, and he says it is at an all-time low. But he says there is more crime than it has ever happened before at the southern border. And
looks like you got a call there or something, Eli. You're on mute.
What do you say to that?
No,
you're good. What do you say to that, Dean?
Well, I think I'd say prove it. and then you wouldn't be able to because undocumented migrants are
But that's the
proportionally.
director of the FBI.
Wait, and the
Dean,
director of the
I'm not-
FBI said a couple weeks ago that Trump didn't get hit by a bullet, but rather a piece of glass. Do you believe him there? Y'all
I mean,
pick
I
and
don't know
choose when
what
you
I don't
trust
know
and
what I
distrust the
don't know
FBI.
what I can believe in. I don't know what I can believe
Yeah,
in.
yeah, y'all pick and choose when you want to trust and not trust the FBI.
But listen,
Right, but
I will
anyways,
do-
the point
I-
here is,
I will do
um,
research on that about the bullet thing.
listen, my point here is, like, undocumented migrants are still significantly less likely to commit violent crimes in comparison to natural-born U.S. citizens. If we see an increase in the amount of crime at the border, well, I mean, still, we're going to keep in mind here that this is they're less likely to commit crime than natural-born U.S. citizens. Jay-Z, thank you for the fruit, friends. But there's probably like other issues that we have to address there, such as socioeconomic ones, such as like external factors that could be causing that. Brandis, thank you for the boxing gloves. And like Kamala Harris is the only person running for president right now that genuinely cares about that and wants to improve these conditions to reduce these crime rates further, right? And we need to understand that it's true also. Like Trump does not care about undocumented migrants. He fucking views them as subhuman, right? If you're not a natural born US citizen, he doesn't give a fuck, right? And this only further like perpetuates dehumanization towards them, which only makes their living conditions worse, which would only make violent crime rates increase. Okay? Like that's another really good reason why we should be advocating for Kamala here.
So Dean,
You want to mute again.
ask you this. No, you're good. So Dean, let me ask you this. If Donald Trump becomes in office, if he becomes our president, are you moving out of the country?
No.
So what do you think people are saying that for? Like why?
I mean, I feel like Democrats and Republicans say that literally every election cycle. I'd
But
say
I
that
haven't
most
heard-
people
I
have the
heard-
best reasons to say that now because of the like very special threat that he poses to the rights of women, to the rights of like other marginalized communities as well, or just the threat to our democracy. I'm a white man, right? I'm gonna be fine. But I'm voting for Kamala not out of my self-interests, but rather it's out of empathy for others, right? And I feel like that's another consideration that you have to make there.
But I believe that I only hear Democrats say that. I really don't hear the Republicans say that. Oh, if Harris wins, I'm moving out. No, man. Listen, if Harris wins, I'm gonna get up the next day. I'm gonna go to work.
Motherfucker, there was like a massive story of like this pro-Trump MAGA family that moved to Russia because of Biden. Also, that has like literally no relevance insofar as why you think Trump is better than Kamala Harris. And then there's also just unique threats that Trump is posing that Kamala isn't. Like, can we like recognize here that like Trump wants to take rights away from all 170 million American women and girls, already put them on the line?
It should go back to the states,
He
Dean.
tried to stage a coup against our government in 2020. Like, there's very special reasons here. No, it absolutely shouldn't go back to the states.
Yes.
Because women in California or Colorado should have the same access to healthcare as women in Louisiana or Kentucky. Right? It absolutely
Less government,
is unfounded.
more states.
Wait, less government means less restrictions, right? Less infringements upon individuals' liberties, rights, and freedoms. Would you say legislation banning access to healthcare is more restrictions on liberties,
No, I
rights, and
think we
freedoms,
should
or
have
less
universal
restrictions on
health
liberty,
care.
rights, and
I
freedoms?
think we should have universal health care.
Okay, well, that
That's my
wouldn't be
opinion.
like coherent with less restrictions. But answer my question here, Eli. I actually have a question.
Yes,
right?
sir.
You said that you agree with less restrictions. So sending this back to the state, preluding to their now existing 23 states with abortion bans and 12 particular states where you can't even get an abortion if you're a victim of
Is
rape.
Indiana's
Is this
one of them,
higher
right?
rates of restrictions or lower rates of restrictions on like access to healthcare?
Higher rates.
Okay, and if you think there should be less restrictions, that means that you'd say it shouldn't be sent back to the states and made illegal in some, but it should be federally protected, so no state can legislate on it and make it illegal.
Yeah, but Dean, do you think that Roe v. versus Wade will be upturned? Like, do you think it'll be flipped back over, or it'll be?
Like the decision from the Supreme Court is not going to be overturned. When she says reinstitute Roe v. Wade, she's not saying that we're going to have this constitutional like protection recognized once more. It's rather that she's going to pass legislation through Congress to federally protect it.
Right. I'll just say this: I'm for the states.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Because give it back to the states.
Should 2A be sent back down to the state? Should there be no federal protections for gun ownership?
Well, first of all, I don't think anybody in their right mind should have an assault rifle. I don't
You're
care who
voting
you
for
are.
Trump? Okay, W. Anyways,
Absolutely.
Wait, should like gun ownership laws be put back to the state?
Well, that's a tricky question. That's a tricky question. Me, I wouldn't mind it, but I wouldn't mind it, but I think there has to be stricter gun laws. Absolutely.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Like usually, like within the human condition, like we're very tribalist, and we just basically associate with beliefs that other people that agree with us hold. So you're like anti-Roe, but anti-AR-15, stricter gun control, and universal health care.
Yes.
Why? Okay, so why shouldn't there be federal protections for access to abortion?
Why shouldn't there be? Because
Yeah.
I was almost aborted as a baby, and here I am. I lost a twin brother during birth of it.
Yeah, Eli, if my dad wore a condom, I almost wouldn't have been here too. Does that mean that we should like say that condoms are bad? No. I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's plenty of ways that like both of you and I almost could have been here. Or in the same way you were almost aborted. Well, like everyone in this live right now was almost not here because of all of our parents engaged in sex 2 seconds later than they did, right? Some other sperm would have won the lottery, right? And my dad wore a condom, I want to be here. My mom, met and married her high school crush, right? I want to be here. There's so many good reasons to assume that this isn't a good argument just because of the almost like infinite amount of variables that could have led to us not being here that we wouldn't consider wrong, right? Abortion is just one of those variables, and you're saying for that reason you say it's wrong.
Okay. That's your opinion, Mr. Dean.
I mean, does that kind of make sense,
man.
though? Wait, Eli, think about it.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, and like the same way if you were
You're
aborted,
not
you want
wrong,
to be here. If your
man.
dad wore a condom, you want to be here. So does that mean that we shouldn't have federal protections for contraceptives?
Well, you know what? I'm going to have to look back into all this.
It's
You've
just a good
informed
point
me,
of
Dean.
consideration.
You've informed me, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you for coming up, Eli. It seems like you hold some views that are very typical of like the average Kamala voter, like saying stricter gun laws, like no access to AR-15s and universal health care. So hey, man, I hope that you kind of stick around and learn
Well,
a thing or two.
socially, economically, I'm pretty conservative, but socially, I'm pretty liberal. Really am.
Listen, I'm not even gonna try to tell you why you shouldn't hold like more fiscally conservative views. Donna, thank you so much for the $10 on Venmo for making our country better one conversation at a time. Donna, I really appreciate you for the love. Let's get some massive W Donnas in that chat. Thank you so much. I'm not gonna try to change your mind on fiscally conservative views. I'm just gonna go ahead and demonstrate to you on why even if we were to consider the economy, that you should still vote for Kamala. So Trump wants to replace the federal income tax with tariffs. And that's going to be inflationary as all hell. That's going to decrease the supply in virtually all markets because we're only going to be relying on what's produced here at home in the U.S., as well as the goods that are imported. That tariff is going to be passed off to the consumer. All right. So you, me, and everyone else in this live are going to be paying more for gas, paying more for food, paying more for every single good, right? Because of the tariffs on all imports. And that is going to destroy the economy. It's going to be inflationary as all hell. It could even cause a recession. That's why you should vote for Kamala over Trump. And then the only economic policy that Kamala wants to implement here is to increase taxes on individuals making over $400,000 a year and keeping his tax cuts for the middle class and adding an additional child tax credit on there. So every parent gets $500 per month for each of their children, right? So if you make under $400,000 a year, you have so many benefits, economically speaking, from voting Kamala. You're only going to
So Dean, question for you. Is that each child or is that just one child in a house?
That's each child.
So 500
That's
for
crazy.
each child a month?
That's fucking nuts, huh?
Yeah, that's $1,500 if you have 3 kids. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. And that's all just by raising taxes on people making over $400,000 a year, right? What people don't recognize here is his TCJA, his Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, right, costs the American taxpayer $2 trillion through debt-related spending. $2 trillion is a lot of money, right? So if you reverse those tax rates on the people making over $400,000 a year, right? They're paying their fair share, right? And that burden is relinquished off of the low and the middle class. Alongside the fact that she doesn't want to replace the federal income tax with tariffs, you're not going to have to experience the inflation provided by those. There's so many reasons, even economic ones, here to vote for Kamala.
Yeah, I'll have to do some research. Dean, I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, for sure, Eli, and I really appreciate you for coming up here and being open-minded. It's amazing to see someone from the other side of the aisle.
I appreciate what you do, and I'll say this: I'm not one of those MAGA cults,
You're
as
not.
you call other people.
You're not. You're not. You have engaged in legitimate, open-minded conversation with me. You are not a MAGA cultist.
I'm coming around. I'm doing some thinking, and I'll just say this, Dean. It'll be interesting what happens in November. It really will be, man. Rather what side you choose or whatever. Me, I'm not a big fan of what all Trump says. Definitely not, man. I can't get behind a lot of things that he says. But I don't think there is a stronger Democrat out there than Kamala Harris. I think she's the strongest Democrat. I don't think I don't think Michelle wants it. And I don't think Gavin Newsom, they don't like him in California, so why would they like him as the president?
Ray, thank you for the boxing gloves.
Shapiro, Shapiro is an interesting choice in Pennsylvania as a VP.
Yeah, I guess we'll see what happens. But Eli, I appreciate you so much for coming up, man. I hope that you have a good rest of your day.
Thanks, man. Thanks, Dean. Have a great day.
You as well. And guys, that's what a sensible Trump supporter looks like. But see, they stop being Trump supporters, and that's like sensible people don't support Trump, like inevitably speaking, when they have access to such information. Yo, Garrett, thank you for the $3 on Venmo, saying I've sent 60K likes so far with my autoclicker. Yo, W Garrett in the chat, thank you. Also, if you guys want to support me, my Venmo as well as my PayPal are in my bio. I get 100% of the proceeds on those platforms. What's up, Dustin? How old are you? All right, Dustin, hello?
Yeah.
MAGA Mobile?
Hello.
Oh, okay, you're back. Awesome. What's up? Are you voting for Trump?
I am.
And why is that?
I do like his policies about the tax cuts.
Okay, yeah. So, 83% of those tax cuts went to the top 1%. It footed a bill of $2 trillion in debt-related spending on the American taxpayer, and it only led to an average annual GDP increase of 0.02%. So the question I have for you is spending $1 trillion for 0.01% increase in our GDP good or bad?
I think you could see it in a couple different lights.
Elijah, thank you so much for the $10 on Venmo. Elijah saying, I really appreciate the last conversation, man. That was awesome. Thank you for the love, Elijah. Let's get some W Elijahs in that chat. Go ahead, Dustin.
My thing is everything's a trickle-down effect. Don't you agree?
Well, it does have a trickle-down effect that is bad, right? Like trickle-down economics don't work for the reason that we don't see an increase in worker wages with worker productivity. Be quiet, Owen. 1 second. I'll get around to you. So yeah, you specifically made the claim here, Dustin, that trickle-down economics are good. Well, since the 1980s, when we saw trickle-down economics introduced with Reaganomics, we just don't see an increase in worker wages with worker productivity because of corporate greed.
Yeah, but so if you put higher taxes on the 1%, right? Those people are going to still keep their money in their pocket, regardless if they're paying more taxes or not. They're going to, whether they're paying more taxes or not, they're going to cut your wages. They're going to cut.
Actually, no, we have empirical data that would disagree with you because prior to the introduction of trickle-down economics, it's been more incentivized for people to keep their money in the business and pay their workers their fair wage, as the personal income taxes, i.e. if they were to take the money out of the business accounts, right, would be taxed at a higher rate. This is why prior to trickle-down economics, we saw a direct one-to-one correlation with worker productivity and worker wages. We have the empirics to disprove you here.
Yeah, I would have to look at those numbers.
Of course, of course. Keelan, thank you so much for the $5 on Venmo. I really appreciate you for the love. Well, was there anything else here that you want to go over, Dustin?
I just think that the higher you tax people, of the people that are actually employing Americans, I honestly do think it has a trickle-down effect, whether you look at it on paper or not. Especially with so it affects people that make more than $400,000, right?
Stevie, thank you so much for the $15 on Venmo. I will read your question at the end of this. Oh, and please don't leave, buddy. But Stevie, thank you so much for the $15 on Venmo here. I really appreciate you. Let's get some W Stevies in that chat for the $15 on Venmo. I really appreciate you, Stevie. Massive W Stevie. Dustin, you're just wrong. Like, the empirics disagree with you. And like what you're saying there didn't really make any sense. But you might ask Owen.
So not even eating. Okay, cut me off.
Wait, I'm so sorry. Go ahead, man.
I mean, so even not even the one percenters, right? So people making it over $400,000 a year, it affects them
it's gonna be
too.
the top 1%. Like 480,000, like whatever it specifically is, it's gonna be right around there.
No, a lot of small businesses make over $400,000 a year.
That's personal income tax.
Like-
That's like what you take out of your business as personal profit, not
Yeah.
like your gross revenue through your business.
Yeah,
Right.
I understand that. I own my own business. I understand that.
If you own your own business and you're pulling out over $400,000 a year in pure profit for yourself, then you are in the top 1%.
No, yeah, but that tax directly affects me. Is what I'm saying, and it affects the growth of my company.
No, it won't affect the growth of your company at all.
Yes, it will, because
Dustin,
I can't afford to.
This is
I can't
personal
afford to
income tax.
hire more people. I can't pay more people higher wages. In which the better your employees are, right? In order to keep good employees are going to ask for more money. Am I right?
Okay,
or
Dustin.
wrong?
If the personal income tax affects how much you're able to invest into your business, then you're just bad at running a business,
Girl,
right? And,
no,
I'll tell you why.
No,
it's because
Have
the
you
personal.
Have you ever ran your own business?
I currently do.
No,
You're
you
looking at
haven't.
it.
No.
I currently do.
This
You're
is-
looking
this
at
is
it. I've
not-
also owned.
okay, how many employees do you have?
I've also owned a media organization. The most employees I managed at a given
Yeah, no.
time was through my dog food business, and I had 12. Okay, I'm
that's
gonna
cute.
go.
That's cute.
I'm gonna go ahead and fill you
Okay.
in on a couple things here. So what we're specifically talking about here is raising taxes on people making over $400,000 a year in personal income tax. So like
Correct.
business tax is completely separate from that. So
No,
when you're running a business, when you have like a C corp, Dustin, are you gonna listen and shut the fuck up, or are you gonna
Dude, I
continue
will
to
fucking
moan and
choke
complain?
slam. Dude, shut the fuck up, you fucking piece of shit.
Are you like fucking whining on my live now because I'm calling you out for your immature bullshit? Is this where the MAGA
yeah.
tears start rolling down?
I'm immature. Dude, you would never fucking make it in the real world. This
I'm
is
in the
not
real
a real
world,
business.
and I'm making it further than you.
Don't think so,
Wait,
buddy.
why is this not a real job?
How many people do you employ?
Well, it's a sole proprietor. I'm alone. It's just me.
Yeah. How many people do you employ? How are you benefiting?
It's just me. This is my job right here. You're looking at my job.
Okay, so how many people are you helping through this job?
I mean, well, right now 3.3 thousand.
No, you're not really helping. You're giving your own
I
thought.
mean, I come on live every day and I like get people to engage in critical thought, right, for the dissemination of like very important education, specifically to make us as a nation like more informed when we're casting our vote in November. Right? I find this to be incredibly beneficial, right, specifically for individuals who are like undereducated on politics and who our candidates are. I think that like political ignorance is totally widespread, right, to an insane degree. I don't think that people think critically about who they're voting for, and they rather do so because of these tribal associations and like groupthink. Right, I want to kind of break that trend, and I want people to engage in who they're going to vote for, like rationally speaking. Right, it's incredibly beneficial. I think it's even beneficial to myself, honestly. At the end of the day, if I'm helping no one, I'm helping myself be more informed, so I can personally make better judgments. And Peter, thank you for the $15 on Venmo. Peter says, thank you for continuing to educate me, Peter. That is so incredibly kind of you, and I really appreciate the $15 as well. Thank you so much. Let's get some W Peters going down in that chat. Thank you so much for the love, Peter. And Erica, thank you for the galaxy as well. W Peter and W Erica.
So, reason, I don't know. It's like talking to a brick wall with you. You don't understand. You don't understand it because you don't employ people.
I've already said.
It doesn't affect your business like the taxes affects my business.
Okay, so well, first of all, I don't currently employ people, but that doesn't mean I don't understand how business tax works in relation to personal income tax. But it just so happens to be the case that I have helped employ people in the past managing a dog food company. Okay, and like specifically when we're referencing taxes on like personal income over 400,000, this is going to be separate and unrelated, right, to you particularly being able to pay your employee. Because when you like are paying out your employees, when you're scaling your business, when you're making investments into it, you're taking that off the top line of your gross revenue, reinvesting it back into the business, and it goes off as a business expense, right? That's coming out of your business accounts, and that's being taxed at corporate rate, right? Not the personal income rates. But he got kicked. Okay, wow. Anyways, Owen, what's going on? You said in the chat that if you vote for Kamala Harris, you're racist. Why so?
Wait, am I talking now?
Yeah, you got the mic.
What'd you say?
You said if you vote for Kamala Harris, you're racist. Why is that?
Because Trump does better for people of color than Kamala Harris does.
Okay, then why did he invest 16 times less into historically black universities than the Biden Harris administration did?
Well, I feel like it's important to donate to like all different kinds of things.
Wait, and how old are you?
I am 23.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead and continue.
Okay.
Can you name one thing that like Trump did for the African American community while he was president?
I mean, didn't he like help that one lady find a job or something?
He helped a lady find a job? Wait, what year
the
were
one
you
black
born?
woman. The black woman.
What year were you born in?
2001.
Huh. Okay. Well, Trump is super racist. So particularly speaking, in the 1970s, he denied black people housing and he was held civilly accountable for that. He even had to make a promise that he wouldn't racially discriminate against people ever again. Shanice, I appreciate you for the $2 on Venmo. And then also he did propone the birther movement, specifically indicating that that Barack Obama was born in Kenya, right? Not in the United States of America, even though he had no reason to believe he was born in Kenya, and he did have a birth certificate from Hawaii. He just said that because Barack Obama was black and he's a racist, right? He also just the other night was talking about to black journalists about how Kamala just suddenly became black, right, in the last couple of years. And also incredibly racist. He proposed like the death penalty for the Central Park Five, even though they were exonerated because he's racist. Do I need to give you more examples here, or is it sufficient?
Oh, that's sufficient. Actually, that helped. Actually.
Yeah, and I'm so sorry. Who are the Proud Boys and the neo-Nazis and the KKK members voting for?
Probably
Kamala or Trump.
Trump, but I don't affiliate myself with them at all.
Well, you don't affiliate themselves with him, but if you're saying that he does more for black people than her, why would the Proud Boys and the KKK members vote for him?
Well, I'm sure there are terrorist organizations that vote for Kamala
Dina,
Harris.
I appreciate you for the $5 on Venmo. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. It's so kind of you. Good.
There's probably tons of like different organizations that vote for Kamala Harris that don't exactly have the best intent. I'm not saying that.
All that
like,
I'm
the
saying
Proud
here
Boys-
is like you're saying that
the Proud Boys and KKK members, they are terrible people, and I do not affiliate myself with them at all.
Oh, and
But
all
at
that
the
I'm
same
saying,
time-
I'm saying something very simple. Here. You're coming up here saying that Donald Trump has done more for minority groups than Kamala Harris ever has. So then I told you exactly how Donald Trump is racist. I gave you 5 examples, and then I just asked you a very simple question. Who will the racists be voting for in November? Trump.
Well, I did not know that. So, what I have been told by like my family members, because like, you know, I've only been voting for like, this is my second time voting for the president. So I'm not like extremely educated on what's really going on. So it's kind of been difficult for me to like find out who I'm going to be voting for. And like, I think I want to vote for Trump, but I'm really not sure. And
Sure,
like,
I'll
what
ask you a very
my-
simple question. Would you vote for someone that more likely than not raped a woman?
Well, I wasn't done talking. So
Okay, go for it.
what I was exposed to, like from
Brandis, thank you for the boxing gloves. And Lydia, thank you so much for the $2 on Venmo. Thank you guys.
from being young to like now is like very conservative kind of things. And that kind of like obviously swayed my idea of like who to vote for. And so what I've been told by like my family members and the stuff that they tell me to watch is that Trump does better for black people. And I do appreciate that you are like educating me on this kind of stuff. And I think that's very helpful for you to be doing. So,
Would you vote for someone that has more likely than not raped a woman?
probably not. I mean,
So Trump is more likely than not raped a woman.
really?
Yeah, a civil court concluded and proved exactly that.
Wait. Someone just said in chat that Trump was a Democrat his whole life.
He used to be a Democrat.
Why is he a Republican now?
Because, well, if I had to take a guess, in an interview he gave in the 90s, he said that Republicans are stupid, so if he was ever going to run for president, he'd run as a Republican.
Ooh, okay. Oh, okay. So,
Because he said that the Republicans would be dumb enough to vote for him.
Well, I wouldn't. Well, now I feel stupid.
Well, that's what Trump says.
Yeah.
All right, thanks for coming up, Owen. I hope that you come to the right side of history. You're on the right path. But I honestly, bro, I'm not trusting this idea that you are 23. I think you're a minor. So just as, err on the side of precaution here, we're going to move on. If you are MAGA and you want to come up and debate, let me just see a MAGA in that comment section. We're going to go and get Carrie Marie up in the queue. Hey, what's up, Carrie? Are you voting for Trump?
I am.
So why do you support a person that doesn't support you? He's vehemently sexist. He said that he wanted to date a 10-year-old girl in 10 years, boasted about walking into the changing rooms of half-naked teen girls at Miss Teen USA because he owned the place to do inspections. He boasted about grabbing women by the P
Well, facts. Okay. And I don't know all of them. My life was definitely better when Trump was in office. And let me just say, I was not I really didn't really care for him when he was in the more of the Hollywood scene. But then when he put his nomination in and got it, I did my research on him. He literally, all of the videos, everything that I've seen, he literally has been saying the same thing for 30 years. And it's all more financial, economic things, right?
There's a very important factor to consider here.
What's that?
That being, did he actually make your life better? And did the Biden-Harris administration actually make your life worse? Or was there maybe some
financially?
causes?
I mean, financially, I'm a business owner. My husband is a banker, and we see it in plain day. And my husband actually,
So what policy did he influence to get passed that made the economy better? Or what policy did the Biden-Harris administration influence to get passed that made it worse?
well, so for Trump, there were a lot of things that he did do. I can't name them all. One, I know he doubled the child tax credit.
Charles Hall, thank you so much for the $20 on PayPal. I really appreciate you for that love, Charles. Let's get some W. Charleses in that chat. Thank you so much for the love, Charles. Massive W. Charles. I apologize for interrupting you. Go ahead.
That's okay. And if you actually go on the White House documents, you can find all the different policies that he actually did before COVID. So you can't look on either side. What happened after COVID when Trump was in office and what happened as we were surging out of office on the Biden side. I believe you can't look at either one of those. You have to look from 2017 to 2019. And there were a lot of things that he did everyone's saying he didn't do things for the middle class. I'm middle class.
Oh, wait, one policy that he influenced to get passed that benefited the middle class more so than rich people.
More so than rich people. Doubling the child tax credit?
So the doubling of the child tax credit was within his TCJA, or his Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, that specifically sent 83% of those tax cuts to the top 1% and did more for rich than middle class.
So you don't
also
believe
cost $2 trillion on debt-related spending and only led to an average annual GDP increase of 0.02%.
Okay,
And we want to talk
you have
about the
a
child
lot.
tax credit specifically. Kamala Harris wants to raise personal taxes on people making over $400,000 a year and increase the child tax credit to $500 per month. So she wants to run with that even wilder.
Well, that's great. And here's the thing. You don't believe in trickle-down economics, I'm assuming.
It's not that I don't believe in them. It's that trickle-down economics are literally toast. They're shit. They're bad. They're terrible.
Okay.
And we have the empirics to prove that too. Since the introduction of trickle-down economics in the 80s,
Sure.
we see that wages don't increase with worker
So, but
productivity.
wait. You do believe that increasing the minimum wage and increasing wages for workers helps the economy and helps the middle class.
So my reasons for increasing like federal minimum wage have nothing to do with me doing an exorbitant amount of research into if it benefits the economy. It's just like moral reasons. Like I don't think that there's a single fucking reason why I should be considering spending like $2,000 on a graphics card for my computer. Meanwhile, we have people like like starving, right, and living on the streets every night, or like living in some shit ass like box apartment because the federal government only guarantees them $7.50 an hour. Right, you know what I mean? Like,
No.
that's completely like. I mean, we could hit that from an ethical angle. We could hit that from a moral angle.
Be
Of course, it's gotta be-
ethical, moral, whatever it is. But when you keep, okay, so I'm a business owner. It's affecting me right now. Okay, I have had to the raise in minimum wage.
Oh well, I mean, first of all, it's going to be state level. We haven't had a raise in federal minimum wage since like the,
Right, but
early
but
2000s.
that's what.
Sarah, I
Come
appreciate you for
on.
the $5 on Venmo. Yeah, I'm so sorry that you're going to have to pay your workers more than $7.50 an hour.
And I'm not against that. I'm not against that, but you can't go from $7-8 an hour to 15 over a 3-year period. I mean, when you have small businesses are what make up communities.
I'm so sorry. What is first of all? So where do you live? In California.
I live
right?
in Illinois.
Illinois. What's the federal? What is the minimum wage?
15. Well, it will be 15 this year. I'll have to raise it to 15.
So that's the state level minimum wage. But just to like, that doesn't even have anything to do with the federal government. Just to put it out there, if Kamala Harris was to raise the federal minimum wage, you'd probably be right around that level.
Right. Well, that's what she pushes for.
And what's the issue with this?
The issue with raising the minimum wage?
Yeah.
So what all that does is it increases, so things become more expensive. Everything becomes more expensive. It makes inflation. I mean, it starts, everything becomes more expensive because I have to pay my people. So my services become more expensive.
Yeah, so actually, I don't think that there's going to be a strong economic argument that, like, essentially, like, paying your workers more leads to inflation due to the fact that we'd see more stimulus to the economy. But specifically speaking, I don't care if it leads to a little bit of inflation because I'd rather people having more money to be able to pay for the bare necessities than specifically be living on, like, an income that, hasn't kept up with inflation for the last 25 years. I think that we have a moral duty, right, to raise the federal minimum wage as inflation would skyrocket. Like, there's absolutely no reason why business owners should be benefiting off of like a 9% hyper rate of inflation during the pandemic by charging their people more and be more greedy due to the increase in this.
There's no greed here.
And then meanwhile,
I have no
we see the low class barely like making enough to live. It's
Okay,
shit. It's terrible. And then specifically speaking, if you care about inflation, you want to be voting for Trump because he wants to replace the federal income tax, particularly with tariffs, and tariffs are inflationary. Everybody, including yourself, is going to be paying more. If you run a business that relies, in some sense, on imports of goods for production, you will be paying more, not only specifically to account for the importing of goods that you use to produce shit, but you'd also be paying more to your workers to account for the inflation in the price of goods.
Okay. You're very, very, I mean, I don't even know if what you're saying is 100% accurate. You talk so fast. But I respect your research on what you do. But there was somebody in the comments. First of all, I have a very good unit of people that work for me, and I respect all of them. And I actually have raised their minimum wage before it even got to 15 because I knew we were going there anywhere, and they do deserve that. But in fact, my cost of goods have gone up for whatever reason, for a lot of different reasons. What's happening right now in our economics, and it is hard. But this is an individual state thing too, because there's also this other thing that I had to put into place about giving everybody that's not even full time paying for.
I don't understand what you're saying. I had another question, personally speaking. So you care about the inflation that would be induced by like literally paying people like enough money to live, right? How do you care about the inflation that was caused by the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act that gave tax cuts to million and billionaires that added $2 trillion to our debt that increased inflation through spending?
Are we
Do you
talking
care about that
about
inflation?
Well, can I answer?
Yeah.
Are we talking about they gave it to the businesses or the individuals?
Not only are we talking about a decrease in the corporate taxes, but also personal income tax rates on people making over $400,000 a year.
So
We
I
saw
don't
it.
have facts on that part.
Yeah, the fact is the TCJA, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, influenced to get passed by Trump, cost $2 trillion and sent 83% of those tax cuts to people making over $400,000 a year.
Okay. I'm not super qualified on all of the tax stuff. I will say that. My husband definitely.
Would you say that we shouldn't be giving tax cuts to the top 1% if it causes inflation?
I think everyone should pay the same amount of taxes. I mean, not the same amount, the same percentage based on what you make.
Okay, so the reason that's like terrible is because this disproportionately affects the low and the middle class. So let's say that we compare someone making.
tell me this.
Carrie, I'm talking. Let's say that we compare someone that makes $40,000 a year to someone that makes $4 million a year, right? We have a flat tax cut, a flat tax rate of 10%, right? So the person that's paying $40,000, making $40,000, what's 10% of $40,000?
$4,000.
And $4 million, what's 10% of that?
$400,000.
Okay, right. So the person making $4 million is going to be left with $3,600,000, and meanwhile, the person at the bottom is going to be left with $30,000. So yeah, you're right. The person at the top is going to lose, like I don't know, $400,000 that they could have spent on another Mercedes, another vacation, a trip to fucking Paris, a new graphics.
So
card,
why are you so angry at
specifically
the
when we're talking about when we're talking about the person at the bottom, it's going to disproportionately affect them because they're going to spend a larger percent of their income on the bare necessities.
That had the opportunities. Everybody, I believe, has primarily the right and the same opportunities. Maybe they didn't all come from the same background, but I've seen it. I've seen it in my own.
It's not me being angry at the risk. It's just me being like an ethical person. Like I should not be paying the same amount of my income, proportionally speaking, as people living on the streets, barely having enough money to buy food once a week to sustain them and their kids. In comparison to me
what's
having
the
enough money,
solution for that?
bro, Carrie, hey, stop interrupting me. Can you like act like your age, please? Have you noticed how every single time I speak, you interrupt me? That's what I like. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you for the $5 on Venmo. Right, to just go back to what I was saying. Right, because now I need to repeat myself because you threw me off via an interruption. Right, it's not the fact that I hate the rich, but it's more so the fact that I think I have a moral obligation to pay more than people at the bottom. Right, so like these people that are not making like significantly enough money to live. Let's just say they make $20,000 a year, living on the streets, barely having enough money to live, to survive, to get food and water. Right. Meanwhile, I'm sitting over here considering spending like $2,000 on a graphics card. Right, a fucking course. Right, morally speaking, I think I have some amount of obligation to provide a little bit more money to sustain like their life. Right, like obviously that's the case, but that's just the ethical argument. Right? Of course, that's just the ethical argument. Maybe that doesn't land with you. You went for a more prudential argument, right? Well, another really good argument for why people making more money should pay more in taxes is because it makes the nation as a whole better, right? It's putting more money into supplying more social benefits for the people at the bottom, which makes the average state of being for the average constituent better off, makes the nation better off as a whole, increases our GDP, makes our economy better, increases trade, etc. Right? And I'd rather be like a king. Standing on top of a fucking mountain, right, in a good nation where we have a good GDP, where we have a great economy, in comparison to being a king on a fucking mountain of dirt, right? Like with my current income, if I moved to like Romania, I could be in the top 1%. I'd be the king. I'd be living like very awesomely. Right? But here at home in America, where I'd rather be, right, I'm an average middle-class citizen, and I'd specifically prefer that because of how good our nation is in comparison to theirs. And it's for this reason, it's very prudentially speaking, that people that make more money should invest more into the nation as a whole, specifically for the reason that it benefits everybody, all things considered.
Absolutely. I'm not against giving and helping the people that are less fortunate at all. Like I do not, I think yes, but in reality, so the person that's making the 40,000, and I will just say, and this may be harsh, but it's the truth. Not everybody spends money the same, correct? And would you admit that most people, more people than not, spend money frivolously?
The average American saves 0.2% of their income.
The unsecured debt is an all-time high right now.
The average millionaire saves 20. I don't think that we could say that the average American is spending their money frivolously when the average American is spending their money paycheck to paycheck to survive. The average millionaire is spending their money frivolously. That's why they're buying yachts, cars, vacations, hotels, new houses, fucking second house in the Bahamas frivolously. That's what the millionaires are doing.
Why is that wrong if they're doing that? They earn that money.
It's not wrong that they're spending their money how they want
you're
to,
angry
but it's
about
wrong
it.
to assume that they should have just as much as a obligation to provide taxes to our nation when they have more disposable income. With every dollar that you make, the relative value of the dollar decreases. Think of
I
it this
know
way,
this.
Carrie. When is water going to be more valuable to you? Is water really that valuable to you right now, or is it not because you have a lot of water? You could go to your fridge and get a glass.
I understand.
Okay? It's not that valuable. But if you were to be dropped into the middle of the Sahara Desert, how valuable would water be to you, right? One drop you'd pay $1,000 for, right? And my point here is the more water you have, the less valuable it is proportionately speaking. Well, it works same with the amount of money you have. The more money you have, the less valuable it is proportionately speaking, right? And that's why we should be taxing people making more money, because each dollar is going to be less valuable to them, and it's also not going to serve as a detriment to those that are worse off. If we tax everyone the same amount, this is predominantly going to serve as a detriment to those that are worse off because they have to spend more of their money on the bare necessities to live.
Okay, if that works, and it could work, I understand your I understand the point in that. What
It's not that it could work; it does work. Every modern nation has adopted this. We've never seen a flat tax rate, a flat rate tax, work in history. But go ahead. Sorry for interrupting you.
No, that's okay. Again, I do not know all about the tax. I mean, as much as that's my husband's issue. He pays more attention to that. And I did not grow up privileged. So I've definitely, yes, have I done a little bit better than, my mother did? Yes. But I worked my ass off to do that. And so did my husband. I had a child at 21 years old. So I've been on both sides. I understand. And I'm all for helping out. But my question on that is there seems to be, where you give people more money and a lot of times they still make the same choices, and there are choices that we have, just like, deciding that you are going to work at a small business that doesn't give you health care, that doesn't give you a 401k, and you complain about it your entire life and how you can't get ahead, but you have a choice to go and there's tons of factory jobs out there. You don't have to have an education to actually get these things. So,
but then you advocate for the same factory jobs being able to pay their workers a federal minimum wage of $7.50 an hour, putting them where still very living to survive. And then you're advocating for the same low and middle class of people to pay more in taxes. Because if we get rid of our staggered system with the more money you make, making you pay more in taxes, what's that going to do? Is a flat tax rate going to be more than the low and the middle class are paying, or less? It's going to be more. So not only are you saying that we should be able to pay them less, $7.50 an hour, but we should also be able to tax them more on their income. Right? But I have a question. What is it going to do when we tax rich people more on their income? They're not going to be able to get that extra Mercedes. What is it going to do when we tax poor people more on their income? They're not going to be able to provide food for their kids. That's the biggest point I'm making. The average American, the median, right? The average American, this isn't even the low class. The average American saves 0.2% of their income. What do you think the average millionaire saves?
You asked me this, but then why are we at
20%? If the average millionaire is saving 20% of their income, right, on top of their frivolous spending on vacations, Mercedes, and beach houses, and the average American is not saving anything, why should those two people be taxed the same amount? Don't you think there's going to be some moral obligation for that millionaire to pay slightly more to sustain the lives of the children that are dying through starvation on the streets, to be able to provide universal health care, to provide for like these 18, 19, 20-year-old girls that are being forced into maintaining pregnancy because their state won't allow them access to health care? Like, you don't think that an obligation exists there?
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? What do you do for a living?
This is what I do for a living. This is my job.
This is your job. Well, that's great. I hope it's I hope you make money doing it and you're able to survive the economy right now. Yeah, I don't know enough about that, but I do. You said vote for Trump. I definitely voted for him in 2016. I'm more on this point. I am not voting for Kamala too. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it's come down to a little bit. He's been there 4 years. We survived.
Okay. I mean, listen, I feel like I've explained this to you, but I don't really feel like you are understanding what I'm saying. So it's like the reason that I'm specifically telling you that, like, I don't think Kamala is the reason that people could barely survive right now is because it was a global effect from the pandemic. We saw inflation at an all-time high.
I didn't blame.
we particularly saw like like economic regression. We saw all-time lows in the stock markets, but today we've had the quickest rebound from the global inflation out of any other country in the G7, right? We've particularly saw the fastest rate in growth in the economy. The stock market's at an all-time high. It's not because of the Biden-Harris administration, it's because of the pandemic, right? And the way to prove my point here is just to put like the US's economy in reference to every other country in the G7. We have had a better economy since the pandemic started and the quickest rebound from all these things. We are the leading superstar right now about economic growth, right? Reducing our rate of inflation, etc. We are the superstar. And Katie, thank you for the $8.88 on PayPal. I really appreciate you for the love. And she took off. Anyways, guys, so it's about 1 right now, my time. I told my grandma that I would go over to her house and see her today, last night on the phone, and then she hit me back saying, "Come over for lunch at 1." So now I have to end my live to go eat some food and hang out with my grandma. I'm gonna be back on. I think Parker's gonna be getting on at 6 my time. Right now it's 1 my time, so I'll probably be back on for some more solo debates after that, but I'm just going to end my live for a little bit and go grab some lunch with my grandma. I love you all. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. I'll be back later. More debates to come today. Yeah. All right. Love you all. Take care, everybody. This feels terrible ending my stream with 4K people in here, but got to do what I got to do for the grandma. Hit that follow button. See you guys later. Bye-bye.